Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Nerds and Words. I'll be your host, Alan1337, joined as always with Potion Shop TV.
Yo.
I see you got is that a new sign over there? That just caught my eye.
I usually have it hidden, but I got lazy and didn't move it.
All right.
Yeah,
and Moreland TV, sorry.
Hi.
Looking forward to, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. We've got Ashes of Creation. Xbox showed us a bunch of teasers for some new games coming out. The summer, what is that called? The Trials of Summer, Mysteries of Summer.
Trials of Summer, I think is what Cacao called it.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of stuff to go over. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are episode 10. We never thought we'd get this far, so we're very, very excited, as you can tell by Moreland's face. So let's jump into it as we normally do with talking about what happened with our weeks inside and out of gaming and BDO. Moreland TV, how was your week, bud?
My week was all right. I was out of town for the last few days at a funeral, so been going through that, processing that, but got to see a lot of family that I haven't seen for a long time and catch up with a lot of people. So that was bittersweet.
I'm sorry for your loss, man.
Yeah. Other than that, in the first half of the week, I have no idea what I did. I think I was just playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima. That game's still pretty fun. And then reading the very exciting patch notes that we had this week. I didn't get a chance to try too much of the new content yet, though. I only did like the first part of that little Arena of Undying thing. So you guys will have to catch me up on some of the happenings in BDO. I only got to do the first half of that puzzle too. So
I watched you go through the math part, the like Rubik's Cube or whatever the hell that was, step 4 with all the numbers, and you had the answer on your screen for like 30 minutes and you just couldn't figure out the formatting to type it in.
Oh yeah, my Excel sheet deleted the 0 in the front. That was unlucky.
Yeah. That's exactly the reason I don't try to like dig through this content, because something stupid like that could hang me up forever. Also, I'm not that smart.
Well, I mean, technically that was my fault. I was a lot more annoyed at the fact that some of the puzzles were literally unsolvable without hints, even though the CMs told us they were not hint locked, but we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, we will. Potion, how was your shop, man? Mysteries of Summer, how'd it treat you? What'd you do this week?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it, honestly. There's definitely some kinks, and it was done by Cacao this time, which, again, that's a whole nother can of worms, but I had a good week. I've been grinding for the infinite HP potion. During my free time off stream, I've been playing some League of Legends and some Minecraft. I've been watching Quinn69 do Minecraft hardcore, and I was like, I got an itch for it again.
Oh yeah, I saw him rip.
Yep, he's ripped like 20 something times now. He's got to shave his head in like 24 hours if he doesn't like beat the game. There's a 0% chance he beats the game. So, but he doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. So,
what's ripping and how do you beat the game?
Beating Minecraft, you have to kill Elder Dragon and then you get to see the credits. Is my understanding. And okay. Elder Dragon has a very complicated process to first be able to go to him and then kill him. Also, you know.
Okay, what's ripping? Oh, like dying?
Yeah. Every time he's playing hardcore, so when he dies, his character gets deleted.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, few things are as enjoyable as watching Quinn lose characters in any game.
It's literally the best content.
Yeah, I saw you hosted him the other day. I watched a little bit.
Yeah, very, very good. I mean, yeah, I had a one time with Mysteries. I had up like 700 viewers or something, and that like never happens for me, right? So I finally had a big enough host where Quinn would actually notice my host. So I figured, hey, I got my one-time shout out.
Clipped it, put it on your refrigerator.
Absolutely, you know it.
That's his follower alert now, is Quinn saying his name.
Bro, I should do that. I should totally do that. It'll be something like, I'm totally never going to host you, right? Something like that.
I hosted Shroud once with 1,200 people, and he did not fucking notice, and so that killed all my dreams of hosting people.
I mean, that's like somebody hosting you with 12, right?
Probably. So
yeah, it's about the same scale.
After that, I was really just waiting for somebody to steal the Siege podcast from me. I was like, I'm done with this now. So my week, did I do the Tet Black Star thing last week? Is that I failed 27 times. So I've just been kind of recovering from that. I kind of keep adjusting my goals in BDO. But I've really kind of come to this mindset where catching up, there's this mentality that I have that I need to catch up, where I think somebody who's been playing BDO as long as I have, I've just been distracted in what I've been doing through being afraid to grind or life scaling or starting a guild a couple times from the ground up. And so 301 AP is where I need to be with Nuver, and then 346 DP, 8K ecology, and level 63. And then I'll feel like I'm caught up to where like stupid patch note shit comes out, and I won't feel like I'm wasting my time by checking it out. I'll still be able to go back to an extremely competitive character, and I'm kind of solidified on Guardian, regardless of how good or bad Hashashin is. So I'm 87% into 63, so I'm almost there. I'm back in Underwater Sakraya.
Oh, damn, are you gonna beat me?
Probably. I also found out this week, I don't know if you guys know this, so I'm gonna help you all out. There's a node for Sakraya. So yep. I hooked that up 2 days ago. Couldn't figure out why my drop rate was so bad,
dude.
I couldn't figure out why my drop rate at Sakraya was so bad. Turns out there's a node, so plug that baby in and start getting a ton grad an hour.
Racid Island.
Except for today for some reason. So we're getting back up to, I think I'm averaging 210 million silver an hour at Sakraya, but I'm 253 million an hour at Star's End. So I'm just going to be at Sakraya until I'm 63, and then probably just roll back to Star's End and keep making that cash.
I tested those spots for XP, and honestly, Sakraya was only like 10 or 20% better. I feel like the XP at Star's End was close enough. I just kept running my 530s at Star's End because it was so much more money. Like maybe my Sakraya rotation is bad or something, but I didn't even know. Everyone was saying Sakraya was better XP, and I didn't even really notice it.
Yeah, it's not huge.
It's not huge, but I'm running 600s, 530s, blasts, and guild buffs and all this stuff. So having a 10% difference and running all those scrolls at the same time, I was hoping I'd be able to get a little closer to 63 and then just roll back to Star's End. But I should be 63 before. I got to get Cacao Games to remove me as GM from Aftershock because they can't find the guild items that's preventing me from passing off GM. So I can't join Null. So I can't PvP. So I think I'm going to knock out the next Tet Disto. I'm already at 10 bill again. So I'm going to knock that out. Then I'm going to do my HP book because I'm going to be doing Tier 1 Node Wars. But I got my ecology from 5,500 to 7,000 this week. I did that too.
Oh, you're in the real grind now, man. 7 to 8K.
Yeah, I'm in the weeds. I know that. So I got to go out to Valencia and get all those creatures. Then I'll probably have to roll back. And, some of the A pluses I was happy with, I'm obviously going to have to go make S's and stuff like that. But I set up a desk in my son's playroom. And so, like, I play with him and take care of him through the day and stuff. But then when he's just watching his, like, BattleBots or TV or something, I've got my laptop in his room, and I'm doing ecology. And he's like, he came up in my lap. He's like, Dad, what you doing? I'm like, Daddy's working. And he sits in my lap, and he goes, ooh, a squirrel. And then I murder it, and he goes, Daddy. Oh! I'm like, don't worry, he'll be right back. So, cute little dad moment. But I also lost a Han Hum doing ecology, because my son needed my attention, and so he had a little poopy accident. Ran out and got to him, and those fucking comma snakes killed me with all the venom while I was gone for 5 minutes.
I got a story about this crystals.
One of those snakes before.
I got a story about crystals. So I have my AFK training gear, and it's XP, right? So I have helmet. I have 4 Han Hums and 4 Han Jervis, and I had this gear because I'm grinding this infinite HP potion, right? And I've been trying to pull out the Blackstones. I pulled out the Blackstones of my and my Han Hums and everything for my XP training gear. So I literally deleted like 2 Han Hums and 4 Han Jervis or whatever. So I was like half a build just poof gone.
Oof.
And I was like, ouch. So I definitely feel you on that.
Well, I'm never writing a ticket to Cacao Games about restoring anything ever again after they gave me an Elcar and 931 Caphras in one day. So I think I've extorted that relationship in every way possible.
Why'd they give you 931 Caphras?
Because I got really drunk at 3 a.m. and forgot to extract them before tapping my Tet Nuver. Or my Tet
well,
Dandy.
Nice of them.
It was.
I actually think that those are their favorite tickets to get. Like, because when I worked in customer service, my favorite tickets were always stuff like that. It was always item restoration type things because they're so easy. You don't have to think. It's all like you just go into the thing and you click a bunch of buttons, you set the thing to restore, you finish the ticket. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to investigate anything. You don't have to like correspond with the customer. It doesn't really like have a lot of actual work that you have to do. So you can just autopilot it, get your ticket count inflated for that week, and then make yourself look good to your boss.
Well, first they calculated the half of the amount that I was supposed to get back. It took them over 2 months to respond to me. I had to respond to the ticket 6 or 7 times with question marks. And
Just a single question mark. That was your response.
Yep. So I don't know how much of a layup that was
process for them.
Yeah, not quite the layup that you probably are thinking, but yeah. For whatever reason, the restoration tickets are months and months and months behind. 2 people today in chat have asked me how to get them to respond.
Yep, the secret is
told them just type question marks.
Every day.
Hell yeah, brother.
Every day you send a post this K question mark or whatever.
I don't mind spreading that. I don't feel like I owe them anything. So anyway, we'll get into some of that later. Potion, do you want to take it over and guide us through some video stuff, man?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first topic of the day is the Awakening and Succession trailer for Hashashin came out. I really think the main hand looks the exact same. So if you've seen his gameplay, the Succession and the main hand, I didn't notice a difference. Maybe one ability was different or new. But it seems to be just the main hand, but souped up a little bit.
Isn't that the point of Succession?
Yeah, I mean, basically, right?
Well, the way they're designing these successions now, the succession has to be already designed before the class even comes out, right? Like they're only saving the succession and the awakening to drip content. But from a company standpoint, I'm sure all 3 versions of the class are done before the base class is even released. So it's kind of like the Guardian succession, right? The Guardian succession was very similar to just regular Guardian, and then they had to patch it like 10 times to make it flow like an actual fleshed out kit. But at the very beginning, it was kind of just pre-awakened with more damage. There really wasn't much to it.
Yeah, true.
Isn't that what most successions are?
No, not in my experience. Warrior Succession is vastly different from Warrior Pre-Awakening. It's got similar animations on the skills, but the way you combo and the way you drive everything together and your PvE rotation is way different than it was back in Pre-Awakening.
Because you have more damage, though, right?
Well, the different skills are viable as well. Like Ground Slash was never a skill that you used in Pre-Awaken, but it's a bread and butter skill in Succession. There's a couple examples of that.
I tell you what, that was my favorite skill to use in Shadow Arena when it was in BDO. You just you throw somebody to the ground, you just ground slash. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I know like Witch Wizard's obviously completely different and stuff like that, but I thought just Warrior was like, here's the pre-awaken kit with a little extra damage. But I guess I could see how it changes the cadence.
Lawn's Succession was quite a bit different too. Lawn's Succession was with like really long super armor animations that you would hold down and you would do like 4 or 5 attacks. Lawn Pre-Awaken wasn't really like that. It was lots shorter, and you didn't have nearly the movement or the animation length. Yeah, most of the Successions I've tried, I would say they have a similar aesthetic as the Pre-Awakening, but not necessarily a similar playstyle.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to the Awakening. The Awakening has like I would say sand snakes, and basically when it does his abilities, the snakes will just come out of the ground and go whoa, and go back and explode while he's doing his abilities. And several different snakes summon, so very similar to the Mystic like water dragon or whatever, right? Yeah. Very similar to that, but with sand and everything.
We've been talking about reskinned, kind of reconstituted abilities and stuff. And when I saw Sand Snake, the first thing I thought was Mystic. I was trying to figure out what the reskinned abilities were in Guardian. Moreland, last week you said that Guardian had some reskinned abilities, and I'm curious if you have some more detail on that.
Shift Q is definitely a reskinned ability. Maybe chat can help me out. Shift Q is like almost identical to is it Vidir, that Dark Knight skill. I think they're pretty much the same thing, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
I think there's a
True.
couple skills like that actually on different classes that are
Oh,
almost the same animation of just like spinning your weapon and hitting the ground.
I was like,
Yeah,
you
Spear
know,
of Sylvia and Archer is also very similar.
the disdain, whatever that disdain is, where you hop to the side and axe. I was like, well, that's mass destruction. It's even the same thing, you know, from Striker. It's even the same key combination. So I've been going through this week trying to pick out what was kind of reskinned from there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure there's others we could think of too if we really wanted to get into it. I mean, even like what's the other one? The shift left click. That's kind of Common Sylvian Slash, right?
What class is that?
Pre-awaken DK.
Oh, you're right.
yeah, there's a few of those.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about the awakening.
Didn't mean to put you on
Actually,
the spot, but
I feel like the awakening is like it gives me a lot of vibes of like witch or wizard, right? So I'm wondering if any of those, relate to each other.
to me, it's looking like, and I've had some Xbox people pop in through the stream, and they're saying that pre-awaken's pretty lit. And I'm kind of betting, even though the awakening kit looks pretty pog, and swapping back and forth and getting some sand tornadoes out while they're doing sand dragons or whatever, it looked to be synergistic. But I'm kind of putting my money on this being a meta succession class.
You think so, huh?
Yeah, I do. I'd be surprised if it was another guardian in the way that, you know, it kind of highlights the awakening kit.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good change of pace if they do have that like that, you know? Something a little bit more unique.
Are you guys excited for it? Are either of you actually going to play it besides
I'm
like,
definitely
getting the
playing
rewards?
it for sure. I'm going to go super hard in it. I want to get 61 like day 1 and 62 and like maybe week 1. And then after that, I'm not really sure.
So you're saying you want to be the first level 65 Hashishin?
I'll just roll my EXP over when they have the $100 coupon come out again, you know?
That'd be nice.
You can get a coupon from that new arena thingy, right?
I think so, yeah. The Pit of the Undying. We can
I
talk
don't know
about
how
that a
long
little
it takes,
bit.
but you can get you can swap your combat XP over. Yeah, let's talk about that. Did you guys run? I only had a chance to run the.
I didn't get to answer the question.
Oh, okay.
About Ashishin. Come on, man. I'm a human being too. I'm actually, so I have a really cool answer about this. When I'm done with my my first project, when I'm done with Project Ketchup, is I talked about it, I think last week or the week before. I'm actually gonna start a new account on BDO and create a series of YouTube videos about how to start fresh in 2020, using the experience and knowledge that I have, and make like a weekly update on what I'm doing, and then that'll create an opportunity for me to do like an updated pay to win guide and updated just a bunch of updated guides while still having some fun with the game. Spend a couple $100s on it, probably get the ROI back on the YouTube ad revenue, and put some good stuff out there for the community and have a little bit of fun and just kind of back off from this hardcore grind that I've been doing. So like I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm really interested in getting that perspective from a new player that's coming into BDO in 2020. So
are you going to do it for season 2?
No, I'm going to do it as soon as I can. So I think I'm going to play Hashishin, just kind of for the clout. And I will play, it will be a seasoned character, and then I'll have a life skill character outside of that too. Because I think early game, just cutting meat. I'm going to play on NA. I'm not going to do free to play or anything like that. It's going to be just another NA account.
Well, the rumor is that it's going to be season 2 with Hashishin. That's because it's exactly what they did in Korea. Season 2 started, and
oh, really? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think they're going to do that with every new class from now on. I think they're going to sync it up with a season release.
Well, that'll make things a little more difficult for me because then I'll be running 2 seasons. But I might, if they have the same like grind before it comes out, and you'll get extra time-filled Blackstones, then I'll be a step ahead of my main account. But I really do want to make a second account and kind of make a resurgence or another stab at YouTube. So that's my plan. But yeah, okay, so you were going to go on about the new content thing?
Yeah, so they added, for people who don't know, they added something called the Pit of the Undying. It's a new PvE activity. You basically do a quest line, and after doing it, you unlock a island called Crow's Nest, I believe. And on that island, once you've unlocked
Crow's Nest
it,
was already there. That was bartering
Well,
hub,
you
but it's
can
got like a new building that you can go into there.
yeah, you can lock the inside of the island, which has like a super fancy to do place. And there's an arena there, which is the Pit of the Undying. And when you go in there, you get to fight different class bosses. So you might fight like a Valkyrie or a warrior or whatever, right? What do you guys think about it so far? What are your thoughts?
All I've done are the 5 bosses from the quest, and they were basically health sponges. I haven't got to do the actual bosses, so I can't really say much about them. I know that when it comes to fighting bosses in this game, normally it's pretty subpar experience. You can't really like do any mechanics because they will ignore your super armor and your frontal
Right.
guards. So all you can really do is like hit them and then I guess like run away and then hit them again. I don't really know what how you're supposed to kill bosses in BDO exactly. But I've heard that the mechanics were done better in the Pit of the Undying. I haven't got to experience that beyond the quest though. Did you guys get past the quest?
I haven't done the quest yet. I heard that they are extremely hard though, even the easy ones. So it's like a I don't know, it has a DP requirement to it all. So I'm kind of
I'm
curious on that.
so far from interested in this. It's hard to even talk about. I'm so disinterested in it. I don't understand the cry for people who want more PvE content out of this game. Because to Moreland's point, the PvE just doesn't really work outside of grinding, Dynasty Warrior mobs. So it's always janky.
I think it could work. I remember like early game world bosses used to be really fun to fight because you'd actually have to like know what moves they were telegraphing. You'd have to use your iframe at the right time. But like there's a difference between dodging Karanda's mechanics and dodging Muskin's down smash. You know what I mean? Like when you do Muskin, the Rift boss, there's not a fucking thing you can do. You're going to get knocked down and down smashed unless you have
air
100%
smashed.
knockdown resist.
It's air smashed. It's so
Yeah.
BM.
Whatever it is, you can't block it. You
Yeah.
can't super armor it. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna get fucked by it. If you use your iframe, it doesn't matter. He's just gonna do it again a second later when your iframe's on cooldown. Like I don't know, maybe Sorks can do it, but like there's no good way to kill those bosses. But there is a possibility to have good boss fights in this game. Like the original Zarka fight was really good. The original Karanda fight was really good. So if we have mechanics that are done properly, I think BDO could have good boss fights. But I just haven't gotten far enough to. I don't know. What do you guys in chat think about the whole pit thing? Have you guys enjoyed it?
I've just been avoiding this kind of stuff as I kind of catch up with my gear and ecology and set myself up to be a little more successful. This is the type of thing I've never really paid attention to, and I want to. Like when we were talking about Papu Islands, I wanted to see how fucking awful that was, but it would literally it would cost me literally 1 billion silver plus out of cost of opportunity to go over there and fuck around with that. So I'm going to be more willing to invest time into that once I reach these plateaus that I've set for myself as a. I'm happy here. Now I can go, make a 30-minute video about how terrible these ideas are executed.
Yeah, it's a little strange that they put it in the middle of nowhere. Like I get that they wanted to use more of Crow Islands, but I don't know if this was the thing to use it on. Like
you know what this arena is?
Correspondence with boat content, so it's a weird crossover.
You know what the arena is? It's the same arena they use for the Heido Ball.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense then. Yeah.
I was trying to get a +1 to invite you guys, but
you teleport to the arena either way, though. So, like, why does the teleporter have to be in the middle of the goddamn ocean? I don't know.
Wait, you do teleport to it? I thought you had to drive your boat out to it.
Well, you drive your boat to the place where you then teleport to the arena. So, like, they could put that teleporter anywhere. It doesn't have to be in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. Oh, well, I haven't done it. So I thought the arena was like underground or something. I thought it was like part of the island. They built into the island or something.
I mean, I think it is, but you still teleport to it. You don't walk to the arena. You walk into the Crow mansion and you talk to somebody, and then that person teleports you to the arena, and then the arena is like by itself.
I'm kind of okay with stuff like that because the world hasn't expanded very much, and especially if you're a high-end player, where do we go? Stars in. Where do we go? Underwater. Where do we go? Histria, maybe, right? Like we go to 2 or 3 places. So when new content comes out, like Papu Island, we got to run out to Grana. And it's like, oh, I haven't been to Grana in a little bit. I kind of like that RP thing. Well, now I have to grab a boat to go out to this place to do this thing, and kind of forces you to get outside of your house and not be agoraphobic. So as much as it might be annoying to grab a boat or something like that, I understand why they do it, and I almost appreciate it at some levels.
The one thing I like is I like I do not like teleporting. It takes you out of the whole feel of the game world, right? When you teleport someplace. So I like that you have to go someplace to fight, right? That makes sense to me. The thing I don't like is it's apparently a daily, and so if you just want to go and farm a reroll coupon, you can't just go there and farm a reroll coupon, right? You have to like do the daily for months, I don't know, weeks, and then you can do it.
I'm okay with it being in the middle of nowhere if I don't have to do it every day. You know what I mean? If it was a weekly and I had to go out to Crow's Island, then that's fine. Chat's telling me that they added a teleporter in Velia on Global Lab though, so I guess they heard that feedback and they're gonna make it more convenient. I agree with you though, Potion. I don't like how much I don't like teleporting to places in this game. I think it's really cool when you have dungeons like what's it called, like Tungrad Forest, the hole where you actually find the opening and you go down and you like delve into the dungeon, like Helm's Cave used to feel the same way.
I like that.
I like that a lot more than like the history of Portal. You know what I mean? I think the open world immersion where you don't hit a load screen and you go down into whatever the dungeon is, I think that's a lot cooler.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I wish I think the thing is if I could go there and I could just do like, I don't know, 10 of them, and maybe you get 10 a week, and so then they charge up like Agris Fever, right? So like, I don't know, something like that. So then you just go do all of them in a week or all of them in a month or whatever it is. Yeah. I don't want to have to drive my boat there, or even I don't want to go to Velia every day. Like the whole thing is I don't like dailies, right? That's the core idea there is I don't like dailies.
Yeah, I think rifts are great in that sense, right? Like I let all mine pile up and then I do them all in one day, and then I wait a week or two and then I do them again. If we could do something like that with these other bosses, I think it'd be perfect. But I don't want another daily activity that I feel like I don't like when the game feels like it's a list of chores that I have to check off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, make sure you do your Imperials. Make sure you do your bartering. Make sure you do your Agris Fever. Make sure you do your. I just like I can't.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't.
like, okay, we get it. Mobile games, you want us to log in every day? Like, bro, we get it. Like, I'm logging in. You don't have to add more daily gated content. There's already plenty.
I think it's a way to force specialization in a game that has done. Right, you have to pick a couple of things to be good at because there's a price of entry for all of these activities. And so having dailies are rewarding and they are chores, but the way that I've kind of wrapped my head around it is it's your specialization. You're used to it. They do want you to go in daily, or they do want you to log in daily. They give you a bunch of rewards for doing that. But you're either doing all the dailies for all these different things, or you're doing a couple of things really well, and then maybe every once in a while you fuck around with something else just to try it out. But I don't like the dailies thing either. I still have PTSD from World of Warcraft and magnets. How do they work? And how many times I did that quest, right? But yeah.
Imagine this, right? Imagine you can go farm those bosses for a reroll coupon, right? And you can sell it on the marketplace. How cool would that be, right? So then you could specialize in just farming that boss at Crow's Nest and sell that coupon on the marketplace.
A couple weeks later, I'm pretty upset at the idea of not being able to buy a reroll coupon. I don't like it.
Well, it's terrible for the game. It's not for the consumer. They're doing it because they want to sell more artist memories.
It's actually awful, dude.
Yeah, I thought it would be fine, and the more every day that goes by, I'm less and less happy about it. Even though I feel trapped. I don't want to reroll, but knowing that I really can't, or it's super time gated or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me anxiety. Makes it a little harder to breathe. The walls are closing in.
It's like and this thing is like they could just nerf your class or come out with their class is stronger, and then all of a sudden, bam, all your time investment for the months and months getting your pin, garbage, right?
Even in Monopoly, you can pay to get out of jail.
True. Yeah, I do hope they add it back in, and I don't. They need to improve Crow's Nest to not make it a daily, right? If they can figure out how to make Crow's Nest work properly, then I think that's good because then I can just go there and farm for a week and maybe get my reroll coupon, right?
I it feels like Altar of Voltara / Altar of Blood / all the other contents that was like again, like BDO, we were so close. It's
we were so
every week,
close.
man. It's like they have a spark of something that could be sick, but I just don't think that it's gonna turn into a flame,
Mm-hmm. I was talking to my stream the other day, and I was saying, like, the director either needs to get replaced, right? Or he needs to hire some super brain kid, right, who knows how to create good content for video games, and then be like, hey, you're in charge of creating cool ideas, all right? And if you're not, then I'm gonna fire you and get someone else because I can't do it.
I think the director does have good ideas, and that's the problem, is that he says, hey, here's my idea, go make an arena where people find, go talk to Patrigio, and he's the leader of a new clan, and he sends you to a boss fight, and you get cool rewards for it. And then the people who are supposed to take that idea have like no imagination, and it gets added into the game in a way that's really tedious and just doesn't engulf you. Like,
yeah, I could see that.
I think the problem is that the game is too much idea and not enough actual execution.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is it feels like they just need to slow down. I was going on a rant about Cacao games that I'm sure I'll get into once we get into Mysteries of Summer. And then somebody in my chat goes, but like the amount of content and patches and updates that they put out every single week is pretty unparalleled, and you have to give them credit for that. I go, well, I do, but unfortunately, that's not to Cacao Games credit. But I feel like if like these ideas were just slowed the fuck down, right, and they just really took some time with it, because it feels like they're adjusting it on the fly. Like here's an idea. The director goes X, right? So this is whatever this new content's called. This needs to be implemented. Okay, we're gonna put it there. We're gonna have the teleporter there, and then they go, okay, well nobody wants to sail out there all the time, or dailies are too often. And if they just sat down, if they took their Adderall and just focused a little bit, the content would come out way cleaner. On/off button for Agris. Just this really low-hanging fruit, where if they just slowed down and took some Adderall, they'd be way, way better, way better. And if we didn't have if we waited another month for this content, almost nobody's asking for, and it came out a little cleaner from the get-go, it would just be a better look for everybody involved.
Yeah, I feel like
not nobody was asking for it. I understand people want group PvE content. They are asking for it, but just wait a month and make it a cleaner release.
Yeah, I feel like their content pipeline is, instead of being like, 3 or 4 things in the pipeline working at the same time, they're like, all right, we're going to focus on this thing for 2 weeks, then the next thing for 2 weeks, then the next thing for 2 weeks, and really those ideas need to be in the pipeline for a month or two, right? And then have several of them in the process of coming out, right? That way they have more time to think about it and work on it and stuff. I totally agree. Like, I feel like these ideas with another month or two of development would be phenomenal.
I'm gonna start shilling Papu versus Otter content.
No.
And like just start really blowing up on the forums that it needs to be reworked, and it's such a great idea, and they should just put more time into it, because what the last conversation they're ever gonna have at PA offices is Otters versus Papu. That shit is dead and buried already. They're never going to think of it again. And so I'm just going to be like this really loud shill for Otter versus Papu being reworked and turned into something great, just to remind them of how low quality of content they are recently putting out.
Would not surprise me if we got a full-blown Papu Crania expansion that they worked on for like 18 months. And the final product was like, 6 more quests or something, and then like a new otter stance that you could get.
I think they were working on just that, Moreland, and then they got exactly that far as that island and just released it as a weekly fucking waste of time content. So there you go. Enjoy, friend. You can join me on the forums asking for reform of it if you'd like.
I mean... Yeah, the bar is really low. The bar is very low.
At what point does a gaming developer go, what, fuck quality, let's just go straight into quantity as hard as we possibly can? Let's look at how bloated this game is and just really open up this pipeline for some low tier content.
They apparently believe that was good enough to be added into the live version of the game, so they must have thought they'd done a good job.
You can
I
get
wanted
your
to-
special hoe and go and dig for pearls, and that'll be the special event we do for it. Everybody,
I don't really want to. I don't want to talk to you about what I do with my special hoe.
Yo, speaking of toxic, Dyrus got banned in BDO. He got banned. I think it was like a 2-3 day ban. Apparently
he's back now.
Yeah, he's back now. Which I thought was interesting. It's the first time I've seen someone get banned for saying something toxic in chat. Apparently, it said something along the lines of "Go kill yourself." Somebody in game, and so
I've seen people get banned for chat stuff. A bunch of times.
Yeah. I think I've gotten 47 people banned for chat stuff by myself. The clip was really good, right? So Dyrus is he's a really monotone guy, and so the clip is, if you guys haven't seen the clip, he goes, "I just got banned for 48 hours." It's why bro, why? I think it's because I told another player to kill themselves. It's like
yeah, that'll do it.
I don't think that's weird time to. Okay, all right, there's. I think I owe you an apology potion. I came into your stream the other night at a very late hour, and I have no idea what I did or said. All I remember, and I don't even remember doing it, but I banned Ghost Rags.
Wait, and he's banned in my stream now?
Oh, in my stream.
Oh yeah, you banned him in your stream.
Whatever my interaction was with him in your stream, I banned him.
Oh yeah. You came in and you said, "Ghost Rags, you better use your Twitch Prime sub right now on Potion Shop stream, or you're not getting him banned in my stream." And so you blackmailed him. And so then someone gifted him a sub, and you're like, "That doesn't count. That doesn't count at all. No gifted subs allowed." And he's already subbed, so he can't even undo it now. But yeah, you came in to my stream. It's all good. It was pretty good content, honestly.
Good.
All right, now, speaking of other mysteries, mysteries of Cacao. Now, I actually enjoyed this. I hope they do it again, personally, but obviously it needs some very noted improvements. But I did enjoy it.
How much of it did you enjoy?
Yeah, in what parts?
So I enjoyed the fact that they give you a hint as soon as you complete the previous part, right? I enjoyed that.
So out of the 10 puzzles, how many did you solve and how many did you Google the answer to?
Oh, my chat solved them all. It was easy.
So you didn't solve a single one of these?
I mean, I technically solved the first one, maybe, because that one was pretty easy.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if my chat told me before I got to it.
Okay, I solved the first one, and then I went out of town when everyone was still stuck on number 5, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But the answers to 2, 3, and 4 were all ridiculous. I cannot see any way. Maybe I could have gotten lucky on number 2, but I cannot see any way that I possibly could have solved the rest of them. And I'm imagining that 5 through 10 are similar because I saw some of the answers in Discord, and they are literally gibberish.
Yeah, I definitely think that they started straying away from BDO a lot. Like one of them was Fontos is an NPC, and then the answer was Fontos Farm, which is not even a term in BDO ever anywhere. So I definitely think they could improve that. Sorry, go ahead.
Most of them weren't BDO related, and then the last 2, like some guy who studied Latin answered it, and so you had to literally know a dead language to come up with the answers for the last 2. They're like Latin phrases, and I don't even know if they're that common of Latin phrases. I'm a 32-year-old man who plays BDO for a living. Why the fuck would I know Latin? Why is a Mysteries of Summer BDO event? Remember when it used to be about BDO? Wasn't it like BDO related? It was in-game stuff. Why are we doing math problems and Latin tests and all this shit? It's so terrible.
I like the math problems.
Yeah, I thought the dice game was interesting. I mean, I didn't know it was a dice game. I mean, I was just over here like, Chad, what are we doing? I don't know.
I didn't think the dice game was good, but I like the idea that 1 or 2 of the puzzles is math related, as long as it's solvable, right? Like that's the point.
Right.
I just like puzzles that can be solved. Like,
Yeah, there has to be
I didn't
logic
get
in
the
it.
sense that most of these actually could be solved. It seemed like they were all locked behind hints or like external information that you had no way of knowing you needed.
I don't know what Zoomers out there solving these fucking things, and then when it's all just offline, out of the game, and you just type it in there, everybody just passes the answers around. Why not just send us an old moon book and spare us the fucking headache of trying to guess? I can't get over the Latin thing. I really can't get over the Latin thing. Math
I don't know
problems,
why they can't just
something.
do like vague in-game lore questions. You know what I mean? Like where
Right.
people who actually know the lore of BDO, like, oh, I think I remember an NPC saying something about that, and you're like searching through
Mhm.
your knowledge or something to try to remember it. Like, if there was stuff you could do in game to figure out the answers to some of these things, I think that would be super interesting. Like how the one adventure book had screenshots and you had to look at the screenshot and try to figure out where that was in the game. That stuff's great. I don't understand the whole like dice or the whole like you forgot the rock, look again, or whatever the fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I
It was
don't
a
know
picture of
what.
Tariff. Like, and everyone's typing in all the Tariff NPCs, and it was some bullshit. It's like, what?
The things I did like that they used gem houses. I thought that was kind of cool idea. They the final problem for people who don't know was a gem house, and it had maps in it, and it had 2 lions, and then the answer was, "Here are lions" in Latin, which was great. But I do like the idea that they used the house, and then the hint that they gave led us to the correct house, right? The hint along with the storyline that they gave us. So I do like that they had some logic there, but it's like the in conclusion was not logical, right? We looked at our map and said, where are there lions in Valencia? Arhaza, over by Sulphur Mine, and over by what's the port town over there? Ancado in a harbor, right? And so that was like the logical conclusion, right? That I had, and maybe it didn't have to be necessarily the right one, but the answer of let's look up Latin for "here are lions," that's not logical, right? That's not how logic works.
One of the answers was the GMs made a guild, and you had to go to guild information and shit. Like, what the fuck?
Yep, that's the one everybody gets stuck on. The hint led us to Square and Compass, and then they named a guild Square and Compass, which had the answer in the guild description. Had like an image of it. So if you type in on NA or EU right now, you go to guild rankings, and you type in guild rank, you can type in Square and Compass. And when that happens, you'll pull up a special
Square and compass. How was that hinted at on the website?
So in the hint they gave, there's a square and compass outlined in the background of the image, and then basically in the hint, if you look behind, they say look behind you, and then if you look behind you, there's a notice board that has a square and compass on it. So you're supposed to relate all those together, and we figured all that out on my stream. But the thing we didn't figure out was you're supposed to type in square and compass into the guild ranks, right? We were trying to figure out, all
How
right,
could you?
oh yeah, there was no logical conclusion for that, right? We found out the square and compass and everything. We were trying to figure out other combinations with square and compass, or maybe it was related to a map hint. We found the square and compass in literally like Valencia, Marty's lab, like all these different places, and we couldn't figure out what the answer was because it wasn't related to anything in game. It was just you had to type in square and compass to the guilds, the guild ranks, which is a very not logical conclusion at all.
A little too meta for me. I mean, it's interesting, I guess,
Yeah.
but like I don't know, man. If you think to type something like that into the guild rankings, more power to you, I guess. That doesn't really strike me as a riddle. It strikes me as more of just like a trying everything you can possibly think of until something
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, like this, I think it was pretty logical all the way to square and compass, right? Like that was guessable, right? All the way to square and compass. But the fact of
No, I disagree. I think only the first one had any logic to it whatsoever, and the rest of them were absurd.
I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it all the way. I enjoyed a lot of stuff. I definitely think it needs to have someone more logically brained, create it so that it has a good conclusion. Maybe trial and error it a little bit.
So thank you, Cacao, for trying to create content. Golf clap. But the first Mysteries of Summer literally put you on the map as a streamer. It was one of the most. It was an icon. Potion Shop and Mystery of Summer is like hand in hand. It was something that anybody who was around remembers, and you want a fucking computer from it. And
using it right now.
Yeah. And this year, it's a math problem mixed in with some Latin, and you better look into the guild rankings. It's just such a degradation, and it's because it didn't come from Pearl Abyss. It didn't come from proper developers. So what are these?
You really think the previous Mysteries of Summer was that good, though? I mean, how many of those did you solve, Potion? Weren't most
I got
of those
first
data
place
mines?
year 1 and second place or 7th place year 2. And this year I didn't beat
How
it
did
because
you
I
get
felt
first place? Was it just you were just 5-head and you thought of everything before someone else, or were there people you were working with? Like, what led you to get first place originally in Mysteries of Summer?
So what they had is someone hacked it in Russia, so they had to redo the last the last mystery, and they hotfixed the game the day before they released it. And so when that happened, they basically copied the 9th chapter or whatever it was, their previous one. And so what it was is you had to get 10,000 amity with an NPC, and then there was a few other criteria. And so they basically copied that for the previous one and copied it for the next one. So that's what I did. I looked at that and I immediately knew, okay, I just gotta find an NPC, get 10,000 amity, and then I gotta figure out how to get the item. And in this case, it was swap characters, and you would get it in the mail. And
So you won because you had you were watching like the Russian event or something? How did you put this all together?
I solved the hint. I solved the hint first and actually ran over and turned it in before anyone else in the world. That's the TLDR.
Yeah, sort of asking is like how did you solve it? You solved it because of some Russian.
No,
meta?
I solved it because they dropped a hint. They dropped a hint, and then I was the first one who understood how the hint was, and it took me about 2 or 3 hours to complete everything needed for the hint. And
how did that connect to the Russians?
So anyway, they had to change the final part of Mysteries of Summer because the Russians hacked it and solved it a day early. Because they basically used like a hack to find where items were that were new in the game.
Oh, this is a reoccurring theme with those people.
You're saying they changed the last puzzle because of the Russians, and
right.
with the new puzzle, you just figured it out first before anyone else.
Right. So anyway, it was good. And then we also worked on getting last year we worked on getting the key. The red key was like the bottleneck on it all. And that red key, my group was one of the first groups that figured that out. But the reason I didn't get first place is because there was another additional part afterwards, and then a couple people beat me to that one. So that was really good, though, and I enjoyed it. I think
that
overall,
was basically RNG gated, right? I think a few of them in both Mysteries of Summer, there was one section that was like heavily RNG gated, like a drop or the key.
Yeah.
Or
the main thing that a lot of people dislike is that they're usually hint gated, right? That's the big thing everybody dislikes about it, and I think this one is the least hint gated out of all of them, right? I think they definitely missed up on Chapter 5, right? Chapter 5 was made too difficult. To be clear, but like it was the least hint gated, which I enjoyed that. And obviously it wasn't made by Pearl Abyss, so they can't do in-game coding. So that means they have to do everything through their website, and it's basically a game of cat and mouse of like, hey, we found something over here, and you have to find it too, right? So I think for whatever,
I kind of want to do my own. Do you guys want to help me make one?
We can totally do it. Actually, we can totally do it.
Mysteries of Summer, and actually base it on shit in the game, and give away like $100 in pearls to whoever wins.
It would be it would be so much fun. Honestly, it really would.
100% down.
Because we can do it. Like we can do what Cacao did. Like 100%.
I'll make a channel in the Discord so we can work on it.
Let's do it.
Let's do a better Mystery of Summers with a better reward. Yeah, with a better reward. Holy fuck.
Yeah, Snow says he'll even make the website for us so people can submit answers. Hell yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. And that's my big gripe, man, is like I guess this is kind of putting my money where my mouth was, because earlier in the week I was like, these guys just shit the bed on so many different things. It took Fake Uniform and I throwing a fucking temper tantrum to get them to retweet streamers I'm not even a partnered streamer, so I can't even reap the benefit from my own martyrdom. And the server quality is draining, which is their main responsibility, right? And then when they come up with this content and stuff, it's haphazard, half-assed. Their customer service takes months, and you have to spam them. So what are these guys doing right? Like, is the contract that there's no performance metas in it whatsoever? It's just like, you have this regardless of how good your services are for X amount of time. Because I can't think of one of the responsibilities, and I say this and it'll probably happen, that they could actually be doing worse.
Now, I think in Cacao's defense on the servers, which we don't know if it is or is not their fault on this, right? They have an allotted amount of money to run that, right? They get a certain percentage of money, probably, or maybe just a lump sum. And Pearl Abyss can add a new area to the game or mess up the game code and make the game run less effective, right? We know that the servers are more or less the same since Valencia, right? And the game world's twice as large or 3 times as large as it used to be. And so you would expect the servers to run half as fast, right?
The servers are the same since Valencia. I mean, we at least changed hosts back in 2018 is when they got off lease webs and got a new provider. So I mean, it's hard to diagnose. Yeah, it's hard to diagnose where exactly the problem is, whether it's game code that's adding additional stress. I mean, it could be, right? Like, remember when the friends list was fucking people's PCs for 2 months and before they figured it out? Like, literally the friends list.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out what they do a really good job at. That's what I'm trying to figure out. What are they knocking out of the park? And like what you were saying, Moreland, last week when we were talking to CM Yashoki or CM Richter, is what are these guys doing 40 hours a week?
It's a good question. I've always wondered.
How do we not know? How do we not know who the USCM is? Like, there's so many like low hanging questions. What the hot fuck are they doing? And if I'm Pearl Abyss, what the hot fuck are they even doing well?
Well, I mean, you can obviously see that they've spent some time on Mysteries of Summer, right? Like the Trail of Summer or whatever. Like, there's definitely a few of them that are working on that. So, but that doesn't account for everybody. Doesn't give everybody.
And I do think it's cool that they tried something, right? I mean, NA and EU are the only ones who got this, so it was clearly a Cacao effort, and that's nice.
So I think Dim did it, the project manager, and I like him. He actually cares about his job and my personal interactions with him. So I don't want to bury him too much, but I know he was at least a big part of it. I think he's a good dude, but I'm certain that he's just in a pool of people that fucking don't care or are running out some clock. And so I don't want to call him out personally too bad.
Definitely. I mean, it's ever since the beginning. That's how Cacao has been one person who cares and 10 people who don't give a shit, right? And so it's like, yeah, there's definitely people there who are doing their best, but I think that they're just buried under a pile of people who are collecting paychecks and going AFK.
So that was my rant. I wanted to repeat that on this platform. So I'm good. I'm done. I got it out of my system.
Well, any closing thoughts on that? We also have Patrigo Shop Renewal. AKA, they brought back the same thing from last year.
Oh, it's so lazy. It's so lazy. It's the laziest thing I think I've ever seen in any MMO in my entire life. And that is saying something. I have seen some very, very lazy things. Even in this game, I think it's the laziest. It's so lazy. How can you put this in the game again, dude? Half the shit in the event costs more from Patrigio than it does on the market. They promised us a Night Vendor rework over a year ago, coming soon.
This is my favorite thing that you get fired up about.
It's so easy to fix, dude. I could fix Night Vendor in 5 minutes. I wouldn't even fuck up the economy. I would just make it somewhat relevant. Oh my god, dude, it's so easy. Instead, we get this copy and pasted event for the 4th fucking time. I don't get it.
I was like looking for it, and I was looking. It said it was going to be an update, so I went through the entire patch notes. I was like, "Where's the update?" And then I scrolled back through it, and I was like, "There's an event for Patrigo," and it's like this one little paragraph. Right, and it's like the exact same thing we've had over and over and over again. I'm like, that's the update? That's not an update. So, yeah, I couldn't believe
scenario, it. You burn a few thousand energy so that you can get some Caphras at 2 mil instead of 3 mil. That's it. That's the whole event. Everything else is literally more expensive than it is on the market. It's so, dude, I just don't get it, man. Like, why bother?
It's just I feel like it's like this a check mark, right? Like, oh yeah, look what we did. Because like, if you have you seen Cacao's like the patch that they like the patch preview? Like that thing is like, look at these 20 different things we have in there, and I'm like, whoa, that looks pretty good. And I'm like, look at the patch notes, like that was terrible. You know, the day before the patch, I'm like, wow, we're getting so much stuff. The day of the patch, oh, we didn't get shit.
It's just another form of the game that is neglected when it would be easy to not neglect it. Do you guys remember how fucking cool Night Vendor was for the first like 6 to 12 months that it was out?
Oh yeah.
I would bank up my energy on every character, and I would have Night Vendor streams where I would like my view count would double because people would want to see. It was like going for, you know, like a high-end enhancement. It was that same level of excitement where it's like, oh shit, what are we gonna get from Night Vendor?
Am I gonna pay $215 for the standee? Am I gonna pay $215 for the standee? What do you guys think? What's the marketplace? It was like a community event, even within.
Can you imagine getting a cheap
stuff.
Vel or a Garmothar?
To begin with from Night Vendor was awesome.
Right.
Like, why don't they just add some enhanced accessories in there? It doesn't have to be common, but there should be some lottery that you can win. There used to be. You used to be able to get the best shit in the game from Night Vendor, and now it's just it hasn't been updated in literally years, man. And it's such an easy thing to update.
I think they have to peel back the energy use of it too, because you can make so much money, so much silver per hour. With your energy, I think they might need to make it like 25 energy a roll probably instead of 50. Where before you could like get these super rare items. There is really no rare item in the game anymore. Everything you can get if you want it. So I think they need to peel it back. I think they need to peel back the energy usage actually.
Either one of two things, right?
I think that they could add like Tet Distos in there for 75% of market value, you know, and make it like a 1 in 1,000 chance. Like there's all kinds of cool shit that they could put in there
and still peel the energy back.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what they do to the energy costs, like there's a way that you can add a lot of cool shit to Night Vendor that would have a minimal impact on the market, but would still make it super exciting to run.
Bro, imagine being able to get Dream Horse from it.
A bunch of stuff. It really isn't that hard to fix. Like the bunch of stuff, just make it rare, and you know, like make the filler a little bit more exciting. You know,
I remember getting bags of hards and sharps at reduced prices back in those days, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't have to gather for like another 5 days because I got the hards and sharps that I need, right? And so, you know, Jay it's really stuck with me at the Heidel Ball when Jay says, I don't know how to get back to the original fun of Black Desert Online. And it seems like we read patch notes, have a conversation between 3 people who played the game for 4 years, and like we stub our toe and find something every single week that reminds us and could be low-hanging fruit to bringing it back to that thing that he apparently, in his words, has no idea how to get back to. So the Night Vendor was a big part of that fun early on. I'm not surprised to learn that you had Night Vendor streams, because I remember doing the same thing, holding up all my energy. And it was even like a thing, man, if I get more max energy, I could roll more.
Yeah.
At the Night Vendor.
Yeah, you used to measure your max energy in Night Vendor rolls. You would hit 400 energy and you'd be like, oh shit, I have 8 Night Vendor rolls now. Like it was that big of a deal.
I'm at 325. I could spend a day and just get another 25 max energy and have another Night Vendor roll on all my characters. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the simple stuff sometimes.
When are we going to get BDO Unchained?
It's called Crimson Desert. Got a long wait.
I still think that's going to be an expansion. I think when they announce things to us, I think it's the same way that they come out with the content and the patches, that it's on a napkin. It's on a bar napkin. You know, these are the ideas. Here's a little bit of footage that we had Bill scrap together real quick. And they make it seem more than what it is, as far as and when we get into the Xbox releases and stuff like that, I did a little digging on a couple of IPs and games that I'm interested in, and found that there was literally nothing behind the trailers that they showed, and so they're just empty trailers. And I think that Crimson Desert was probably an empty trailer, where they're still kind of spitballing what it even looks like.
I'm kind of curious when they're going to talk about like Crimson Desert or Plan 8 or Dukev again, because
I mean, you were in Korea, right, Moreland? Did I miss something?
I think Crimson Desert is going to be very different from Black Desert. I think that it seems like they've got a new engine for it. I got drunk with the executive producer or the lead dev, someone at the very top of the development of Crimson Desert, like the guy who's in charge of the whole project.
You got a second glass of wine, huh?
And yeah, and he wouldn't say much about it specifically, but it seemed to me like it was definitely not going to be BDO2 or anything like that. It seemed to me like it was going to be more of a traditional MMO, where it's like story driven and you go through and maybe more of like a theme park. It didn't seem like it was just going to be an iteration on Black Desert. I think it's going to have the same elements of the same world, and it's going to have action combat, but I don't think it's going to be the same action combat. I don't think there's going to be awakenings and shit. I think it's going to be more of like you level up and get gear and do dungeons and group with your friends and you go through the story and fight bosses. That's kind of the sense that I got. But again, there's very, very little that they would actually tell us, despite how much alcohol we were all consuming. I'll be right back.
What do you think? Can you still hear us, Marlon? I hope so. I wonder what this game would look like without the cost. I like to call them costume casuals, the people who just log in, think level 58's a big grind, and then buy a couple of costumes, which is probably the meat and potatoes of the financial viability of this game. What does this game look like for somebody who is playing this because they're tired of WoW, but really isn't opposed to a tab target game? And then they're costume casuals where level 58's a big achievement for them. And then they get swayed away to Crimson Desert because it is kind of if WoW and BDO had a really drunk, hot sexual night, and then whoopsies,
I don't think that's a big deal, honestly, because there's a lot of people, like, the word of mouth will spread the game, right? A lot of people try out a new MMO because it's just something new to play, right? Especially in the current the current games that are out for MMOs. There's so much opportunity out there because nobody likes any of the MMOs they're playing other than maybe Final Fantasy 14 players, right? Like, everybody's looking for the next big MMO right now.
I love BDO. Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, my bad. But yeah, like everybody's decided to play a new game, right? Especially in MMO right now. And so I think that if someone comes out and Crimson Desert ends up being good, the word of mouth will pick it up, right? People are like, hey, like, I saw you playing Crimson Desert, like, I can't play that game. I played BDO and I didn't like it or whatever, right? I got a bad taste in my mouth, fill in the blank, right? It'd be like, hey, that's completely different. Like, I really, really like it. They got dungeons in it. They got some raids in it. Like, it's super good. Or like, like that would be a selling point.
So what we're talking about, Marlon, since you don't have a wireless headset in 2020, weird, is if Crimson Desert takes away like the costume casuals, as they like to call them, or the people who are really just playing that rather have a tab target PvE focused game, what does that do for like the viability of BDO? Does it force it to focus more on PvP? Does it free up some of the lag and desync that we have, or does it make some paper pusher at Pearl Abyss go, wow, since Crimson Desert's way more popular and making way more money, maybe we just close the doors on BDO and invest fully into CDO?
I don't think that. This is very speculative because we haven't even seen an alpha of Crimson Desert.
Yeah,
I didn't get the sense that it's going to be the type of game to pull people away from BDO. I think BDO has its weird little niche of like masochists who will play a game with massive desync and issue after issue just because of the infinite progression and the Dynasty Warriors explodey grind. And like, there's a few things about BDO that everybody is hooked to despite its flaws, and I don't think those things are going to exist in Crimson Desert. I don't think Crimson Desert's going to be a game where you're like circling Sakraya, killing mobs and making 200 mil an hour or whatever. I think it's going to be a fundamentally different experience. It might even be more of like a World of Warcraft type game,
right? So you don't think that's going to cannibalize BDO to the point where it's concerning?
No, I think there's a chance that it's more popular than BDO, but I think it's going to be new people who wouldn't play BDO to begin with. I don't think it's going to steal that many. I mean, the fact that it's new, well, it'll probably take people away from BDO. But I think any halfway decent new MMO is going to take people away from BDO. Even WoW Classic took people away from BDO for a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, it'll probably in the short term take people away from BDO, but I don't think it's going to have the same kind of progression and um, like style or feel or whatever you want to call it that BDO has.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if it ends up being a theme park with BDO's combat, like I'll play that because the main reason I enjoy BDO is the combat. I mean, I've just been spoiled at this point. Like any game
It's
doesn't have,
basically your stream anyway.
yeah, like if they don't have any, like if they don't have like this, any other game doesn't have BDO level combat now. Like I'm just like, oh, like it's hard. It's hard to enjoy it. It has to be BDO quality or higher.
I hope it doesn't have BDO's combat. I hope it has action combat, but I hope it doesn't have BDO's combat. We need a game that's beyond the combat of BDO. Like if you actually, I think one of the things Shadow Arena kind of demonstrated to us about BDO's combat is that if you actually had a PvP focus in BDO, the amount of bullshit and desync that you encounter in the game is utterly unacceptable. Like we accept it in BDO because there's all this other stuff to do. But if all you ever did in BDO was PvP, you would get so fucking sick of this game, like because
Oh
of how
yeah.
much just desync and lag and other things that you have to deal with. You would never take this seriously as like a PvP only game. It's all the other parts of BDO that come together to make it a game that we stick with. So yeah, I hope whatever Crimson Desert becomes, I hope it's definitely not like a copy and paste of BDO's combat the way Shadow Arena was. I hope it's something they build on a new engine from the ground up.
Yeah, I
Learning
want
the
them to redo
lessons
the
that
net
they
code
need to
for
learn,
sure.
you know?
They really need to redo net code. And BDO's combat used to, I mean, I remember it not being this laggy. Like when it first came out, like the first year, maybe the first 6 months of BDO was out, like it was really good, solid combat. Like,
That's called pre-awakening. Yes, I
Yep.
remember those
well,
days
but
too.
I mean, it was like not laggy though. Like that's what my point, right? It wasn't laggy.
Yeah, we saw that same curve on Xbox, man. When we
Yep.
played on Xbox, there was no lag, and then Awakening came out, and the game ate shit. Just suddenly,
Yep.
you couldn't like nothing was
2 frames per
viable except
second.
for Witch and Whiz because you can just hold down your long animations. Like everything else desynced.
Yeah, now I find myself when I play Call of Duty with the boys on Friday night, I use no ping to connect to a European server just so I can get the same amount of lag and desync that I'm used to in the combat of the game that I play the other 6 days a week. I'm ruined. I need therapy.
I need my desync, my fix. So they banned some people this week. Oh
Yeah, let's
Oh,
get
God.
this.
Yeah, let's go into that. Let me read this announcement that they made. This is
Oh, please do.
this is
I'm just gonna
fucking
mute my
hilarious.
microphone, eat a sandwich, and listen to Moreland. I don't have a sandwich.
Hold on, where is it?
I think I have it linked in general.
Yeah, hold on, I have a chat command for it.
I didn't peg you for a Marvel guy potion.
Okay, so 311 accounts permanently banned, 9 fish bots, 86 speed hack / bots, 216 RMT, which is great. If that was the whole post, I'd be like, holy shit, amazing. 200 RMTers, fish botters, hackers, whatever, like 311 bans. It's a big ban wave, very solid, big claps. But then you scroll down and 132 people have been temporarily suspended for RMT from these accounts. A total of $1 trillion silver has been removed from the economy, which is really not that much. That's only about 8 bill per player. So I'm guessing some of these were fairly minor infractions, but still,
Some light piloting.
yeah, the idea that someone can get away with like maliciously going out of their way and engaging with third party, like we've talked about this before, but there's a difference between like finding a bug in the game and being like, oh shit, I can bug out my horse so that command to gather still works, even though it's not supposed to move my crates. Like there's a difference between that and going out of your way to pursue companies that are likely steeped in credit card fraud and all kinds of other shady shit and engage in a business with them to log into your account and do shit for you like that ruins the game. That's on a whole nother level. So the fact that any of these people are being temporarily suspended and their reasoning just fucking blows my mind. They say, we listened to your feedback that punishments need to be harsher. As a result, have been revising our suspension policy. However, we maintain that as the problem was left unchecked for so long, coming down with an iron fist would not be the correct response for a first action. That said, today's ban wave includes a large amount of permanently banned accounts. Okay, so first of all, this isn't a first action. We just had a ban wave where they said that they were going to start catching people for piloting. So even if we buy the dog shit logic that people should be given a lighter sentence because Cacao was ineffective at enforcing their own policies for the last 3 years, that somehow makes it like less of a big deal. So because we can't catch people at cheating, when we finally do catch them cheating, we need to give them a break because we didn't enforce the rules before. So, it's too unfair to enforce the rules abruptly. We only want to enforce the rules on people who won't cheat if they get punished. We don't want to enforce rules on people who just follow the rules because they care about the game, right? Like, it's just the logic sucks. But even if the logic was made any sort of sense, this isn't the first time. This isn't the warning shot. This is the second ban wave now, and they're still giving people warnings. Well, I don't understand what the fuck they're waiting for. Like, how much mercy do we need to show?
Yeah, I don't really get it, right? It's like, I think the thing here is you obviously going to another website with the intention of breaking the rules. You automatically know if you go to any of those, you're going to get banned if you get caught, right? That's the assumed procedure, right? You get caught, you get banned, right? And then some people, they just feel like they're not going to get caught, so they do it anyway, right? And I mean, like, it blows my mind that this would be like even like, and it's just taking money out of the developers' pockets, right? Like we've harped on this before, and it's just like I totally agree with everything you just said. The policy does not make sense as it currently stands.
Mappers.
Go about them.
Permanently bans.
Yeah,
but
anytime they take any kind of stance on this, and you just say the word mappers, it just makes everything more laughable. So that's all I really have to say about this whole thing is mappers.
I mean, it's indisputable that if mapping was an egregious enough offense for a permanent ban on the first offense, any kind of RMT, if you are RMT 1 million silver, you should be permabanned. If mapping is a permabannable offense, any amount of RMT, no matter how first offense or how light or whatever, should be bannable. It's clearly a worse violation if you go out of your way to engage with like a third party company who's actively hacking and fucking with the game. It's clearly worse than just like being a dumbass during an event, right? And yet people got permabanned for that, and they've gotten away with RMT multiple times now. I'll never understand it, dude. I'll never understand it.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that we've seen over and over and over again, right? It's not just a one-time problem. It's a multiple times we've had problems with how they've decided to enforce things, right? I really feel like someone up top needs to look down and oversee this better, because this can't just be one person messing up now, right? This has to be multiple people who are not doing a good job looking at this. And so, like, I can't believe that, you have a company like this, right, who continues, week after week, month after month, continuing to not enforce these properly. Now, again, applauding them for actually doing something rather than doing nothing. And making a public post about it also. They don't have to post who they're banning, right? So, again, the transparency is good. The initiative to actually do something is good. I do think they need to continue improving their processes. And, like, the fact that they are treating RMTers and are treating them better than they're treating people who just abused a bug in the game, right, is appalling, both from a player standpoint and from a publisher standpoint.
What's even weirder for me is that there's 2 current BDO partners that were punished for that exploit that are still BDO partners, but then some people were banned, right? So this goes back to my previous rant, is that there's nothing that they're doing an even okay job at, much less exceptional, right? So now we have moderation of the game. dog shit, total dog shit. When it comes to cheaters, when it comes to their partnership program, when it comes to chat, when it comes to anything. It's just their moderation and consistency is dog shit. And I don't know who's paying you to say nice things about them this week, Potion, but I hope it's more than $100. But I don't agree with the level of transparency or anything like that. They're unapologetically telling you that they don't care about their feedback. They're acknowledging that the feedback is there, but they've done what they've always done. Anytime they've had a ban, they've always listed the number of people. They legally can't tell us who. And I was looking through that forum post. They're like, tell us the names. The most intelligent thing I saw was tell us the age of the accounts that you banned. And I thought that was probably a pretty good medium step there. I don't know if that'd be possible, but that'd be some good information. But it's obvious that
I think they should post the guild tags. I doubt that violates any privacy laws.
Yeah, they should be able to release the NA accounts
really
too.
good
I don't
point.
think they can release
That's a
EU,
really
but
good
they
point.
should be able to do NA, right?
I don't really care for the family names.
They'll never have separate policies for NAEU. It's always got to be just one consistent thing. But yeah, I think they should post the guild names and how many numbers from each guild got banned. Why not?
Why not shame cheaters as hard as you can, or those who harbor them, whether intentionally or not? Right. So like, let's pretend Aftershock still exists and Bandwave comes out and there's 10 Black Rose, 30 Snake, 20 Barcode, and 2 Aftershock. Then you go, well, shit, we didn't know about those guys. Or maybe, you can tell that there's guilds harboring, and I'm just pulling names out of my ass. I'm just trying to do both sides. But you could tell that if there is a place where these armed tiers are being harbored or congregating, that there's probably something fucking wrong there. Because they've already gotten involved.
Guilds would be a little bit more careful about who they recruit in the future when they have a suspicion that somebody is shady, instead of just being like, fuck it. Like, maybe they'll actually think about it. Maybe they'll think, like, do we want our guild name popping up again next time there's a ban wave?
Yeah, I totally agree. Anyway, it's something that I hope and for transparency, I'm saying they're posting it publicly, right? They don't have to make a public forum post that they ban people, right? And I do like that they do that, and I hope they continue doing that. And I think long as they keep taking our feedback and taking steps in the right direction.
I mean, they're not doing that as a charity. They're doing that to be like, look at what we did, right? I mean, they want the good PR of.
We showed up to work this week.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, right, we're giving them a lot of negative press, right? And so they could just be the opposite. Well, all right, didn't do anything good for us. We're just not going to post it anymore. We'll just ban people, do our job, and we won't post it anymore.
That's just unacceptable, though. Like, they're getting the negative reaction from us because the things that they're doing are clearly unacceptable, right?
True,
like,
they need to be improved.
The player base is unified. There's not like split opinions on this. There might be one or two people who are like, oh, great job, Cacao. But overwhelmingly, if you poll the community, I don't think people are going to be satisfied with yet another ban wave that has 24 or 48-hour bans for people who RMT and who engage in business transactions with these shady third-party companies who are also the same people who run speed hacks and bots and all the other stuff that's fucking with the game, right? Like,
there was
who wants those people to get a 24-hour ban? Everyone wants those people to get permabanned. Everyone wants that, except for the cheaters.
There was a metric fuck ton of content that came out about conversations and podcasts and streams about the mappers when that happened. And then one of the easiest, most low-hanging fruit parts of that whole mapping thing was that when they took silver away, the 1-to-1 ratio was egregious. And it sounds like they're still doing that when they're, suspending these, we'll call them light RM tiers, where even if you're diluted enough and ineffective enough to think that that's actually the right move, you should at least be taking 2 to 3 times the amount of money that was RMT'd or hacked or whatever the case was.
I mean,
you got a loan, right? Like, that's what people were saying with mappers, is that you got a loan and a 7-day vacation. Like, that's pretty much what's happening here. People got a loan.
I don't really care.
I don't know how long the bans were, but I saw a screenshot that was 48 hours. I don't know if it was real or not, but I mean, they said temporary, so I'm assuming it was between 1 and 7 days for all these people who got 132 people, man. Like, 132 people were light offenders that should, I mean, I understand maybe like if somebody submits an appeal or something and they're like, oh, like, I like I misunderstood, like this was my friend in Discord or whatever, like because I had people when I was in well, I won't say the guild name, but in one of the previous one of the previous siege guilds I was in, I actually had a guildie contact me and offer me sea monster payouts if I PayPal'd him. So like in that case, I'm not really going out of my way to like I'm not going and talking to a company that has like bots and hacks and and or anything like that. It's just a guildie who's like, hey, I'll give you this extra payout, right? But so I can understand how people might get caught up in that, especially if they think that it's not something that's being punished. Is that I can see, I still don't agree with it. I think that you should get permabanned if you do something like that. But I can understand the logic behind not permabanning someone in that situation in the first offense. But 132, like maybe if 5 people got temporarily suspended, okay, but 132 people,
like literally 30% of people that they
what is going on here?
They didn't do anything.
Why are all of these? What's 132 people having a light offense? What's the mechanism behind that? I don't quite get it.
Light RMTing, I love it.
Yeah,
a little light treason, But I do think the positive thing to focus on here is that there were a slew of permanent bans of RMTing, and so now even though these guys got slapped on the wrist, they got to feel like if they are major community siege players, whatever the case was, they've got to go. At this point, now they got to go. Oh, all right, cool. All right, I'll RMT on my other account.
Hey, wait, George, stop logging in.
Is there any way that we could, how there's like an API for the market? Do you think there's any way we can make an API for the game that tracks logins so we can see like which families disappear during these ban waves? Does anyone in chat know if we have that technology? I want to get real witch hunty out here, dude.
It'd have to be leaderboard stuff, I bet, because you'd have to scrape the leaderboard.
Or I know at least with the friends list you can track on and off, and with guild lists you can do it. So I wonder if there's a way to like aggregate that, or if there's a way to find that data somewhere in the back ends, like you do with the market.
So all their UI stuff, or a lot of the UI stuff, is based on web code, right? And so that stuff you can scrape and then pull that. So like Marketplace, right? It's all based on web code, and so you could probably do that for the leaderboards if it's based on the same coding. And so anybody who was on leaderboards, you could see if they got to stop logging in or anything.
So basically, our content on our streams for the next couple of weeks is us going to be the publisher of the game by creating the new Mysteries of Summers and figuring out who's RMTing.
I just need one mole in each siege guild, and I can figure out who's.
Well, we had 4 spies in Blacked while we were in Aftershock, so I got 4 homies that are down for some moles straight away.
Well, the problem is people also use privacy modes, so I think that would.
It's really just Potion Shop.
It's true. I'm not the only one who does it.
You don't do it anymore, though, do you?
No, everyone left Aftershock. I don't really know why. I wasn't really in the loop, but
Potion Shop's on Arsha right now.
It's true. I haven't left Arsha in like a week and a half. But
I actually just leaked his channel. He's still at Aftershock.
So that's about it for the BDO stuff. Is there anything else that I missed that you guys want to talk about?
Let me check.
I usually miss at least one thing. It's happened almost every week so far.
They add any more hairstyles or anything like that?
Not that I noticed.
Yeah, they did a slight rework to Agris where they basically buffed low level areas for Agris. And multiplied a lot of the numbers. So it's pretty much the same in high end areas. Apparently, I haven't tested it, but at lower end areas, it's supposed to be buffed. So that's a nice change.
So the major thing is I noticed is that now you automatically get Agris Fever. So I think I can charge up to 25,000 Agris Fever without doing any of the quest lines or anything now.
You get 20,000 a day. Oh, you get less per day if you haven't done it?
No, I mean before I hadn't unlocked Agris Fever because I hadn't done any of it, like none of it, because I'm doing life skilling for profit, right? Not grinding. But as soon as I did the update, I automatically unlocked Agris Fever. Even though I haven't completed anything for it. So I thought that was an interesting change. So that even new players are going to automatically start getting Agris Fever.
Yeah.
And then from my understanding is this multiplied everything by 5. So now the high end spots cost 5 times the amount of Agris Fever, but you also have 5 times the amount of Agris Fever, so nothing changed for high end spots. And what they wanted to do is low end spots already had 1 Agris Fever. That's how much you would have. So they multiplied it by 5, and any of the low end spots they wanted to buff, they instead of keeping it at 5, they reduced it back down to like 4 or 3 or 2 or something like that, right? That way, it gave
So
a
much
low.
Poly's trash. Oh my god.
Yep. So they wanted to make it. They wanted to make it where the trash loot, the aggressive buff would last longer at low end spots. I think inherently the core problem here is that high end spots, the trash loot is worth like 15,000 to 30,000, right? Depending on where you're grinding at. So it's sort of like a disadvantage when you're looking at low end spots and it's only worth 1,000 or 2,000, right? And I feel like it's just inevitably because of that, it's going to make it hard to balance, and it's also aiding towards the inflation of the game. So I'm not sure if Agris Fever is ultimately a good thing, but I do think that it is good that they're looking out for the lower end spots and newer players for Agris Fever, because right now Agris Fever was mainly for new veterans, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
little bit of it's a little bit of communism, you know. It's something. It's a little bit of wealth redistribution. It's inflation at the cost of making income higher for new players, right? So like even if we have overall inflation in the economy, it's doled out in a way where people who are more casual benefit more than people who are playing 12 hours a day. So I think that's fine when they have mechanics like that are kind of like, you know, a couple hours, a 1 or 2 hour steroid every day for more casual players. I think something like that for the game is fine.
There's a big gap between Poly's Forest and Achman too, and I think helping bridge that, you know, even if it's just a couple hours a day or whatever the case is a good thing.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into our other topics.
All right, juice.
We have Xbox is probably the biggest news. So we have Halo Infinite, which that is interesting in a lot of bad ways. Fable got announced. We talked about that, and it actually happened. I'm really happy that happened.
Fable, a new one or like a remaster?
I think it's a new one, a brand new one. It was a
Xbox
CGI
exclusive.
Yeah, I believe so. I think they own the entire IP now, so I think it has to be an exclusive. So
did Fable 2 or 3 ever come out on PC? I know Fable 1 did.
I think the new one will be coming out on PC because Xbox
Windows 10. Interesting.
Well,
yeah, it's Windows 10.
Yeah, well, I guess exclusive in this case for Xbox now means Windows 10 or the Xbox console. What it doesn't mean is it means it won't go to PS4
these are
Switch.
games that are coming out of Xbox's development, like they're the things that they own. So that's what these mess of games were.
And the big surprise for me from the Xbox convention is a game called Avow, which basically looks like a modern Skyrim from the small trailer we kind of got from it. And that's actually the game I'm most excited for out of everything. Because if it's actually giving me so many Skyrim vibes from the little bitty trailer that they gave, I'm really looking forward to seeing a little bit more about that game. All right, so what are your guys' thoughts, though?
My chat told me it's been almost 10 years since Skyrim came out. And so I think Bashida has been, probably a little too focused on Fallout. Fallout 4 was, I think, awesome. I love the game. It's hard to get me wrapped up into a single-player RPG, but 76 was disgusting. And so now they've put all this kind of effort into this IP, and really what anybody has wanted was Elder Scrolls 6. And so I guess ESO, you can't even put ESO onto it because that's ZeniMax, right? So, man, I really want an Elder Scrolls 6, and I don't expect that to come out at an Xbox game thing, right? Because it can't, because we're just talking about companies that Xbox owns. But if we can get something to bridge that gap, because I think gamers have got to be hungry for that, whether it's console or PC, just about everybody. And the play count on Steam for Skyrim is still high, probably mostly due to the replayability of the game, but also the modding community. So I'm good. I'm good with a game that has a little bit of Skyrim vibes to it, and I think that's a safe place to go. That fills a hole the RPGs on Xbox have never really been exceptional outside of cross-platform stuff. So if they can come up with an RPG that really Fable, right? They had Fable, but I want to talk about Fable afterwards, after this. But I'm excited that they're going kind of sword magic, Lord of the Rings, Elder Scrolls type direction with a original IP.
Well, for me,
Skyrim is pretty much like, as far as still being popular 10 years later, it's pretty much just mods, right? Do you guys think there's anything about the actual game Skyrim that is causing it to last? Because I mean, I think of games like Breath of the Wild or Ghost of Tsushima. Like, there's other kind of open worlds, non-linear games that's, for me, I ended up playing way more than I ever played Skyrim. But I also remember back when I played a lot of Elder Scrolls 3 and 4, the reason I played like 1,000 hours each of those games was because of mods. It had very little to do with like the base game.
Yeah.
There's a couple different ways to play it. I replayed it vanilla a couple of times, Skyrim, but then I think I have equal hours modding my game as much as I do playing it. So I think that's a big deal about it too. But I still, again, focusing on the console side of things, I think that is a weakness within Xbox and PS4. That's not just a single player RPG that has that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about is like the Ghost of Tsushima, right, and The Witcher, and those type of games, Breath of the Wild. There's a big hunger for those type of games because they don't come around very often, and when they do, they're not always the best. And so I think that's a wide open category because it's not like people are just going to pick one game and stay with it for years and years and years, right? If another one comes out a month later, they're like, hey, well, I've almost done with, Ghost of Tsushima. Like, let me try this out, right? And it's not, I mean, there would have to be like probably like 6 to 12 of them released in a year to really start competing with each other, right? And I feel like this is an easy category for someone who can make a good game like Obsidian, who's making it, for a good game development company. Like, it's low-hanging fruit for them to just go ahead and knock out, right? Because, I mean, people are going to buy that regardless. As long as it's a $60 game or whatever, maybe $70 game, like, people will buy it and try it out. Because they don't have nothing else to do. People like the type of game.
It used to be fairly saturated, but with the Skyrim kind of took it over, and people backed away from kind of developing it because it's like FPS. It's like you can only do so much, right? You have to have a lot of imagination. But we know nothing about this game, but I'm excited that they're going to take a stab at it.
Sure.
What about Fable? What do you guys think about Fable? I think I got a hot take on Fable.
I played the fuck out of some Fable back in the day. I haven't seen the previews for the new one yet, though.
So the trailer,
getting eaten by a frog.
It was a super CGI trailer. I think that it's just eye candy right now, and that they're basically just starting development on it.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't think that we are going to see that anytime soon. It's going to be one of those games we're going to see in like 3 years from now. But I am excited that they did show a trailer for it. I do think that if they nail it, that'll be a home run, right? Like that's an easy W. You don't the bar that they have to hit for like Fable is not very high, right? As long as it has some good graphics.
I think they've actually demonstrated that already with Fable 2 and 3, right? We're severely flawed games that people still have a lot of fondness for. I mean, Fable, I think the best one was probably the original, but even the original only reached, I feel like, half of its potential. There was so much more they could have done with that game.
Thank you.
It felt rushed.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, it felt rushed, and that they acknowledged how rushed Fable 1 was, and they ended up re-releasing it with like 30% more content. I think a couple of years later, they added a whole bunch more stuff to it, and that definitely helped. But I still feel like those games are just a fraction of the potential that they actually could have had.
Mm-hmm.
They hyped up where, like, in the original Fable, I remember I was so hyped about this. It was like you could use all these weapons, and it's open world, and you have all these choices, and it changes everything. And there's 87 different animations for how you can pull out your sword, depending on how capable you are with your sword. Turns out none of that shit mattered. And the I didn't rush through the game. I don't like dive into every single possible side quest when on my first run through a Fable. I just did the main story. It took me 13 hours. I was excited for this game for a year, played it 13 hours, $60 game back in 2000, whatever. And I'm like, the story just felt like it was ramping up for something. One conflict happened, and then it's like, it's over. I was so turned off from RPGs for so long until I got into like Mass Effect, right? Where it's just 50 to 100 hours per game. And I'm like, this is a fucking $60 RPG. So if they're just going to come back at me with some 20-hour, fucking dry hand job of a game, you can miss me with this Fable stuff. That IP has never done a goddamn thing for me. And I cringe when I hear the name, because the potential and the foundation and the groundwork was there, but they just didn't spend enough time actually making an RPG game. It was just like some easy cash grab first day, Xbox is out or Xbox 360 is out or whatever, because people like the name. I have no idea why people are so attached to Fable outside of they're nostalgic, but it just
I think
never
the game
lived
is
to its
still
potential.
fantastic. That's the thing. Even falling so short of its potential, it's still amazing. Like
Mhm.
I played through Fable 1. I had like a melee archetype that I played all the way through, and then I played like an archer archetype all the way through that I went super evil with, and I played through again as a mage. And like I played through the game start to finish multiple times, especially when they re-released the new version of it later on that had a little bit more content. But yeah, the game is definitely way too short, and the pacing is off. There's I can think of things both in Fable 1 and 2 where it's like you unlock some really interesting side content, like the ability to like buy real estate or something, but then the
Yeah.
main story progresses so fast that none of that stuff ends up having any like effects on how the
Right.
game unfolds or how your character progresses or anything like that. Um, so
Yeah, they need
yeah,
some
I
Final
mean
Fantasy VII
that's
development time in there. All right.
but that's the thing. Like even with that game only reaching half or a third of its potential, it's still one of my favorite games of all time. So like, if only they could have gotten it right, I think it could have just been at like a, you know, eh, we'll see.
Yeah, I think
Forgive
there's a lot of
this analogy.
potential. I don't think they didn't mention any. I didn't see any big name studio behind it, and so but the CGI looked really good.
It's Microsoft.
Yeah, well, Microsoft doesn't mean anything. Like Microsoft also made a phone that failed super hard. Like, um,
Well, so
like
forgive the analogy, but for Fable, for me, it's like going to a bar, really hitting it off with a really beautiful woman. She's she's stacked, she's cute, all that kind of stuff. You take her home, and she just pulls newspapers out of her bra, and you go, "Well, she's really beautiful, and I had a good night, but I thought there was going to be way more to this." And so I just think that's all I can think about with Fable is I'm just being fucking lied to. So it looks great. It's a wonderful short experience, and then she pulls newspapers out of her bra and never calls you again, and that's it.
Oh, what about Halo
I still
Infinite?
finished a few times when I played Fable 1.
So Halo is another game, another IP that I dislike because it peaked at Halo 3, and I would fight anybody who disagreed with me on that. Halo 5 was a huge disappointment, and I understand that they spent a lot of time in the performance and the visuals of this game, but from the 8-minute trailer I watched this morning with the combat and how it worked, it looks like that they're trying to focus this time not only on the visuals, which they knocked out of the park again, 4K, 60 frames per second, but also the gunplay and the combat look both challenging and interesting right from the very first moments of the game. So the grapple thing is almost a staple in first person shooters, and so people get super excited about grapple. So they have a research team, a marketing research team that knows what people like in FPS. Good for them. I'm not going to get overhyped about that, but I think for the first time since Halo 3, there's potential for this thing to actually be decent.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna be honest. I had no idea there were that many Halo games. I'm way out of the Halo loop.
so I lost interest at Halo 4 because it was the first 343 game, and I didn't have high hopes for 343. And they definitely didn't exceed my expectations in any way.
Mhm.
I honestly feel like the graphics on this for a next gen console, BDO has better graphics. Like BDO has better graphics, and I think that says a lot about Halo Infinite. It's like Halo right now, BDO in slightly high mode has better graphics than Halo Infinite does on a next gen console. And so if this was coming out on Xbox X or whatever, I'd be like, okay, cool. But as a next gen console, I feel like the bar is too low.
Well, they're trying to have an affordable piece of hardware that everybody can buy, and they're trying to hit this ridiculous 4K 60 frame per second mark. And so that's why you're going to see smoother textures and ray tracing is going to be minimal if existent at all, and not that BDO really knocks it out of the park with those certain things, but they exist. And so you can't really compare those two things. I think for what console is and what it offers people at the value price, as we've talked about before, what they've done is great, but you are going to lose out on fidelity because of the bandwidth that they have to put through for the resolution and refresh rate that they're aiming for. And so I'm disappointed that they're chasing 4K, even though that is the TV market, which is what you plug a console into, right? It's 4K. Gamers want 60 frames per second at least. But that combination is a massive amount of bandwidth, and I'd rather see a smaller resolution upscaled by the TV, which all of them can do if you bought a TV in the past 7 years, and still hit that 60 frames per second. So just do 1440 and then hit 60 frames per second. And the amount of bandwidth you have to put through the box is so easier, so much easier to hit that.
Yeah. I anyway, like as a consumer looking at it, I'm like, this looks terrible. That's my quick analysis without diving into the details. Like, if I looked at that Halo right now, I'd be like, Halo 3 looks better. That's what I would say, right? Halo 3, if you just gave Halo 3 4K, it would look better. And higher textures, it'd look better. And I think that's a problem, right?
I think this game is about 2 weeks into development, and they focused on this demo. So
I could definitely, if that's true, then all right. Maybe we'll see the finished product, and we'll be able to have a happy surprise. I mean, I would love to have a wonderful Halo game to play again, right? That I could really dive deep into and enjoy. But from what I saw from Halo Infinite right now, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it's.
Do you guys care about 4K?
No, I have no care for it at all.
Like, is it actually a selling point for you? If they did it well, if they did it somewhat well, would it
1440p is a selling point for me, because at 1080p I can see pixels. Like with my glasses on, I can see pixels on a 1080p screen. So I think 1080p going to 1440p is pretty substantial for me personally. And going from 60 FPS to 120 is also substantial. Those are two things.
Any game that has done 4K in a way that's been really impressive so far? Like, did I miss this? I don't really understand the whole 4K thing. Like
I don't either.
4K
I think 4K is only good for TVs on like a TV that's over 50 inches maybe. I don't know.
So it's just the TV market. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And when you really think
in a movie theater, you need more resolution, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how often do you want to buy a video card for PC gaming? And for me, it's like, I've got a 2080 Ti. I could play some games on 4K, but I'd feel stupid buying a 4K monitor. I really would. A 4K native monitor. I'd rather have a low latency, high refresh rate, 1440p. Honestly, TN panel. But if you want to do IPS, you can do IPS. But the TV market is filled with high latency, high fidelity, 4K, barely 60 frames per second monitors. So they want to find synergy between console and TV. My TV can do this. Why can't my $500 to $600 console do it as well? So they're pandering to the market hardware.
Now, one thing to say about the new Xbox,
they're going to have to come out with a new Xbox every 2 years to keep up with these ridiculous benchmarks.
I will say that the one thing about the new Xbox is it can do 120 FPS at 1440p. So that will be the staple of competitive games, I think. Like I think you could realistically see like League of Legends coming out and being on a console, and you just plug your mouse and keyboard into an Xbox and load up League of Legends and play it on your Xbox. I think that might be something that could happen in the foreseeable future.
I'd rather never play a video game again than ever play League of Legends.
Listen, it's just an example, all right? You can pick your favorite game, all right? You plug in mouse and keyboard and play Overwatch, all right? There we go.
I get unbanned from Overwatch today.
Hey!
Wow. I won't be satisfied until I can play League of Legends on my TI-89.
Now, something that our audiences will be a little bit more interested in is Ashes of Creation. We should maybe do another dive in this in the future. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to. No, I think we have. I think we have time. Do we have time? Yeah, we're an hour and 45 minutes. We got time. Forza 7. Remember last time we talked about Xbox? I was like, they're going to come out with another Forza. They always come out with another Forza.
It's true.
And so they committed to 4K, 60 frames per second. Showed a beautiful 2 or 3 turns of, I think it was Road America, Laguna Seca, with some Lamborghini cars backfiring as they shift. And then I looked into where they are with the development. They're fucking nowhere. There's no vision for this game. They're focusing on latency because they say latency in a game is fine when it's 100 ms. But if you have 100 ms latency between your controller and your TV and the internet connection, you're 2 car lengths. That's 2 car lengths in a race. And so having that amount of latency doesn't make racing games viable in the current setup. So they're working on like low latency controllers and making a low latency mode to have one of their most successful IPs of all time be actually viable in a competitive place, because Forza actually is starting to, with coronavirus and iRacing being popular, Forza has created quite a substantial community too. So I'm hoping, I'm a big racing fan in general, and I've played most of the Forzas up until they started doing those Horizon games. I'm hoping that they actually really focus on bridging the gap between just an arcade racer, which doesn't interest me, and having a customizable, real sim that focuses on performance and tire degradation and weather conditions and wind, and maybe even some. I don't like that iRacing makes you have to be a race engineer to perform well, and you can hire people to do that, and I think that's cool, but I think they should bring some form of engineering in, right? So a race car driver isn't an engineer, but he has to be able to communicate with his engineers to be a good race car driver. And you need an engineer that can communicate with a race car driver. So I think bringing that element into Forza is what's really missing, is a little more realism in their simulation versions, and maybe some better laser scanning of their tracks that they do. There's plenty of great tracks across the world. They don't need to make their own fucking tracks up. Just get the real ones, spend the money like iRacing did for the laser scanning, do a really good job with that. Focus on your tire model, and then somehow bring in engineering instead of just a slider for how much downforce you want. That shit's boring. That's not fun.
Well, one thing I think that you said that was very interesting was the fact that they're focusing on latency, right? Like the fact that they're focusing on latency, I think, is extremely cool, right? Because like that's a problem in so many. I mean, BDO it plugs the game. It's terrible, and finally seeing some developers focus on that, hopefully, will lead the industry into more games like that, focusing on latency in the future, right? I mean, if Xbox can get that down for Forza, and then that can start getting applied to more and more games, and hopefully we can start seeing game companies start focusing that a lot more.
Well, it's like people arguing about, why would we go to space? It's such a waste of money. We should take care of our own country instead of trying to go to the moon. Well, that's where like Velcro was invented and all these great technologies that we use daily, right? So focusing on some weird shit every once in a while and then applying it to other things, especially when it's as obvious as, to bring it back down to earth video games, latency on a controller or through a TV, that's something that can be applied everywhere. And you can start having Counter-Strike matches on your console.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen marble races?
What? Marble?
Yes, it's really into racing. Have you seen the marble racing league that's on YouTube now?
No.
Wait. You're telling me that the streamer like marble racing game has a racing
real
league?
marbles. Real life marbles.
Okay? Real life marbles?
It's like NASCAR, but with marbles.
Why did they put them in like a little container and see which one gets to the bottom first or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so all these
different names and stuff,
all these games, oh my god. I'm already into battle bots with my son. I don't think I need to get into marbles with names. Tombstone. So this is Rex Godwin just put this in chat. All those games that we just talked about are going to be day one games for only $10 from the Xbox Pass. So they're trying to make, I think they're really trying to get into this IP war with PlayStation, who's been styling on them for quite some time.
Yeah, I think the Game Pass thing is going to be a huge selling point because, like, already you get like really cool games like Sea of Thieves, right? And that comes from the Game Pass, and it's automatically updated. You don't have to buy any of the updates or anything.
Selling 12-month Xbox Gold subscriptions, and the theory is that Xbox Gold is going to go away soon. Do you guys know? Did they say anything more about that?
I don't think so.
Not that I saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to combine the Game Pass and the Gold. Is that what you think?
Yeah, if they do that, that would be huge. Like
I'd buy an
even
Xbox.
or even if you could have like a $5 off if you bought it with the Game Pass, right? Then you're like, wow, I can get this great value, right?
Also available on PC. Does that mean we can play these games with keyboard and mouse, or we just plug in our
Yep.
Xbox
Yep,
controller?
it's going to be on Xbox or PC, all of it. So I think that's really good because that's a huge value, and that really makes them almost start being a competitor with Steam in some ways, right?
Yeah, except did you guys play Sea of Thieves on PC?
It's a little laggy, right?
Well, just it takes about 30 minutes to figure out how to start a game of Sea of Thieves with one of your friends. Navigating the shitty Microsoft UI and the Windows Game Store and the Xbox friends list and all that stuff. It's like something out of 1997. It's fucking horrendous.
Is it bad as Nintendo?
It's worse than anything I've ever seen in any gaming space. It's
All right,
staggeringly
that's pretty bad.
CM
I'm
Richter bought me
not
the game.
exaggerating. It took me 30 minutes to join my friend's Sea of Thieves lobby when I first installed the game. And then I had a hard drive completely crash because Sea of Thieves, every time it patched, would install a full new install of Sea of Thieves again. So like instead of doing a 1 meg
What?
update, it would re-download all 40 megs of Sea of Thieves. So it filled up every possible inch of the hard drive on my old PC so that the thing wouldn't even boot. And then when I finally did get it to boot, I couldn't uninstall Sea of Thieves because I didn't have the right like Windows permissions to install it. It was like rooted into my fucking registry or something. I couldn't get it out. So I couldn't uninstall the multiple versions of 40 gig Sea of Thieves. I had to like boot in safe mode and fucking
Jesus.
bro. Yeah. I think what I'm trying to say is it might be a little bit longer until they start to compete with Steam.
One thing I will say about the Game Pass that I think is a concern that a lot of people isn't aware of, right? So what happens when everything's on Game Pass, right? Then the quality of the games can go down to start saving money, right? And then
I don't think
that
that's
ends
what's
up being
gonna happen.
I think that
I
will
don't
be
think
a
that's what they're doing.
I think that'll be potentially a big issue, right? Because then you have this draw of this huge library, and it's not the draws in the library now, not the actual games. So then your future games can be lower quality, and it's a big concern that a lot of people have been raising. But it's not even It's not that way right now. So hopefully it'll just be fine forever. At the very least, it's going to make more competition with Sony, which will be good for all gamers.
You really think they're going to take Fable from a 12-hour game to an 8-hour game because of the pass? I just hit 1250 Mastery and Gathering, so I'm excited to get my first 16 proc with meat. That's why I
Nice.
cheered a second ago. But I also gathered for 2 hours without.
I think it's possible. If you look at all Halo games, all their campaigns are 8 hours now. So I do think it's possible, but we'll see.
That's typical for an FPS. People really buy FPS games for the multiplayer, right? And find a good balance and content within that. Titanfall tested if they even needed a campaign, and it turns out that they do. And so you just need like some regurgitated content. The last good campaign for an FPS, to my recollection that I can think of, that was multiplayer focused, was Modern Warfare 2, right? No Russian. It's just like a landmark icon.
I enjoyed Titanfall 2's campaign. Titanfall 1's, I don't think it had a campaign, but Titanfall 2's campaign was superb. That was like one of the best ones I've done. It reminded me a lot of Portal.
I was so mad at spending $50 on Titanfall 1 and that game was unfinished that I thought it was fucking egregious that they even came out with a 2 instead of just finishing 1. So instead of buying Titanfall 2, I just play Apex Legends for free.
Is there anything else you want to talk about for the Xbox conference that they did?
No, I'm excited. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think that's a good list of games, but the development has got to be there. And I think this is really crunch time for them because, like Moreland said a couple weeks ago, they're getting danced around on IPs, especially when it comes to exclusives. So they have got to put the fire. They can't afford to have the quality slip even further under a Game Pass. They have to have value and content. It can't just be one or the other.
Yep, I agree. Well, time will tell. That's for sure. Speaking of things that's going to come with time, Ashes of Creation. I there's a lot of hype going around right now, and it's still like 2 or 3 years out from being finished.
Yeah.
Which blows my mind why there's so much hype for a game that's not going to be out for 2 or 3 years. But it is something that a
Been like
lot
that
of people are
already
talking
for the
about.
last 2 years.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about that a little bit, and we can probably revisit that in any of our next podcasts over the next 2 years. So, what do you guys currently think about it all?
I'm very, very excited for Alpha 1. I love playing games in the first phase of Alpha. I think it's just so cool to play something not at the end of Alpha, but at the beginning of Alpha when it's like really, really, really unfinished and almost nothing in the game will still exist in the same form when it actually comes out. I think that's really the best time to get excited about a game.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic, right?
I don't know what you mean.
I'm terrible at telling when people are sarcastic and nice, so I'm just gonna take it serious. What about the early parts? Do you enjoy?
Well, like I said, just the fact that I'll be. It's almost like getting to play multiple. You get to play Ashes of Creation Alpha, and then you get to play Ashes of Creation Beta, and then you get to play Ashes of Creation Launch. It's like getting a whole trilogy in one purchase. Like you get to play a sequel.
This is such a genius idea. We should have thought of this ourselves.
You get to play a whole new game when it actually launches, and none of them are going to be recognizable from the other.
We should do this with our Mysteries Summer. We should do the alpha access for Mysteries Summer, and then the beta access, and then the full release of our Mysteries Summer.
So for all three, it's only $15. Pre-order now.
I actually do have access
to our Mysteries of Summer.
I actually backed a Kickstarter, so I will have access to the beta. I believe one of the betas.
Mystery of Nerds. Mystery of Nerds. That's what you should call it. See in 2 years.
I was looking at Ashes of Creation packs. It's $250 if you want to play the alpha at the end of this.
What?
$150 if you want to play Alpha 2 next year, and then you can get beta for like $75, I think, is the lowest. And beta's like, who the fuck knows? Maybe the end of next year if we're lucky. So
$250, but there's no NDA, so we could stream it.
You could stream the 15% finished worlds that exists currently in the alpha, yes. And I mean, I don't know, man. Like I like what they're doing with Ashes of Creation. I think I think they have a very good mindset as far as like the cash shop and the way that they're developing the game. People are getting so caught up in like, oh man, like this class is going to do X, Y, and Z, and the node system is going to have like this religion thing in the dungeon, and it's like, maybe, like, you don't fucking know at this point. That stuff's going to get play tested and revamped so many times. By the time it actually has like a final product, it's all theoretical at this point. I mean, I can write down a notebook full of cool fucking ideas and get you hyped. It doesn't mean any of it's ever going to actually exist the way that I envision it.
Yeah,
that's what I was. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, right? I mean, like, obviously right now they're going from concept to actually in the game, right? And so what that looks like and what it'll act like will be completely different. And like, I'm most excited for I just feel like the guy who's running the entire thing has a head on his shoulders, right? He's just a gamer who likes playing MMOs, and like he wants to make a good MMO, right? And I mean, that's all I really want, because all the current people who are making MMOs,
Dark Age gamer though, and like, no disrespect, but I can already see the flaws from those games carrying over into Ashes of Creation, especially when it comes to things like PvP and progression.
Yeah, I definitely feel like some of that is going to be there, right? Like, I definitely, even looking at it right now, the early alpha, it just reminds me exactly of Arcade Unchained, like
early alpha.
Yeah, it looks like Arcade Unchained, really, in a lot of ways. The way people run around and the way the abilities work, how some of it's tab targeting, some of it's not.
Well, and the
So
flagging system too is basically ripped from Arcade. It has that system where if somebody flags, like takes a criminal action and you attack them, you also are flagged for combat. So then you can get ganked for trying to defend yourself. Like it's got that whole thing built into it. So there's a lot of stuff that it's inheriting from Arcade that I'm not a big fan of. But again, it's fucking pre-alpha, so it's like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I think I'm sorry. Go ahead.
to me, this guy, I watched his hour and a half Q&A, and I don't know anything about him from previous lives. And I had a couple people come in and say I was in his guild and he was this, I was in his guild and he was that. But what it looked like to me is a little bit of a scam. You know, he did like some solo live stream from his house where, you know, everything was marble and he's trying to, I don't think he was trying to show off, but it's like, I have money to see this through to completion, which he said a couple of times, which is fine. But, you know, he flexed that he had some 14,000 person guild that he was a part of, you know, or built for 14 years or something. And I feel like he just said enough times, I could make a better Arcade. And then enough people went, well, why don't you just do it? Don't you have enough money?
So
And so
he's
now-
like the
now
Tim
he
Allen
is.
of Arcade.
I don't have enough money to make a what? No. And so I'm concerned that through that Q&A, if you could count how many times he said no to a question, no, we're not going to do that, or that's not in the book, or that's not how this is going to work, or that's would make the game too bloated. He just never said no. It's just anytime somebody asks him a question, he goes, yeah, you're going to be able to do that. Yeah, you're going to be able to do that. Yeah, you're going to be able to do that. Yeah, you're going to be able to do that. And then there were some low-key money flexes. And he's, you know, apparently he did Kickstarter just to get the word out and not to get the money, but also you have to pay $250 to get into the alpha. To me, my instincts tell me 2 + 2 is an equaling 4, and this is some guy going. The guy who did Star Citizen is making a fucking great living off of developing a game that'll never come out. I could probably do that too, since there's been so many half-baked MMOs where we can pick and choose what we don't like from them, and then just say yes for a couple of years and come out with some really underdeveloped versions of it, and then just keep promising that it's going to get better.
Well,
And
all right.
just keep saying no
I don't-
pay to win, no pay to win.
I
no
don't
pay to
think
win,
that's
no pay to win.
really even realistically comparable to StarCraft, or what is it, Star Citizen, whatever it's called. Star Citizen is still not out, and they just had like their first like early access type stuff that's actually like playable, right? This like in a recent like year, and this game's already had a battle arena. It's had a
not a good one though. I mean, let's be.
they've had
like,
three
the Battle
different
Royale is
they've
not-
had three different things that were designed to playtest things, right? Three different things that were designed to playtest things. They with their latest playtest, it was designed to test their netcode, so they could actually make sure that their netcode was running properly. They could have big players and that it was all working well, right? And we know how bad that's a problem in BDO and other games, right? And they found a core problem, and they're adding more time to development for that. But again, like every year, we're seeing them develop and release something, right? You know, every year so far, it's been in development for 3 years. Every year, they've released one thing that the players can actually physically see and touch and play, right? And if you don't like that, then that's cool. It's like you get to opt out of it, then, right? You don't have to spend your money. And so next year, we're going to see alpha, and we're going to start seeing some of the very like beginning stuff, right, of alpha.
I don't trust this guy.
I don't
trust this guy.
think it's a scam in the sense that it's never going to come out. I think what Tim is trying to say is that the game is being sold like it's going to have 100 out of 100 of the things that you've always wanted in an MMO. And
Right.
it's possible that the guy selling it, maybe he even actually believes that. You know, it's his game. I'm sure he's passionate about it. He's a huge gamer from other MMOs. Maybe he actually thinks that it's going to have 100 out of 100 of those things.
Mhm.
But in pre-alpha, like that's a lot of fucking promises.
Oh,
And
I don't think those are promises for pre-alpha, though.
what is but I mean, even the launched version of the game, all of these games have 100 good ideas when they're in pre-alpha. What separates this group from every other company that's fully funded, that has fallen flat on their fucking face for the last 10 to 15 years, really 15 plus years, when it comes to making a decent MMO? Like, what is he? Okay, he's a gamer. Yeah, all these MMO devs are gamers. Like, what is actually the magic here that's going to separate this from something else? Until we see the final product of it, I just like it might be
Every single
good.
MMO is
I mean,
over.
I have the same opinion of it that I have of every other game that's in alpha. Oh, cool. I'm glad they're trying. Good on him not putting any pay to win. See you in 3 years. Like, I don't know where all the hype is coming
No,
from beyond
all right.
that.
So yeah, I agree with the hype thing. Yeah, I'm just. I guess my thing is right now for an early alpha game. Right now, this is more promising than every other early alpha game. It's more promising than New World by like light years, right?
I don't know. I'm kind of more
Um,
excited about like Camelot Unchained than I am about Ashes of Creation.
I don't trust this guy. What he said
I don't know.
in his Q&A, and then selling the alpha for $250. When he's funding it to completion by himself, he's not putting in pay to win. He's doing all these creative things where you invest in a node as a community, and the community drives this whole thing. And just there's too many right answers. And I think the one thing that the MMO community is a beaten dog, where we have been overpromised, oversold, and then it either never comes to fruition, or it's a completely bastardized or lied version about, once it gets to
That's
release.
like every
If it
game
ever
in
does.
histoy, though. Just about like every
Right,
game's
but
overpromised,
this guy
underdelivered.
is selling himself as something different, and I just don't fucking buy it. I just don't buy it. I think it's going to be stuck in alpha for years, and then maybe it ever gets to beta, and then it's going to be, well, we were a little ambitious about this. We really wanted to make the perfect game, but these restrictions make it so we can't. We're going to start with this, and in later content, it's going to be that. And don't worry, I know it's not what I said it was going to be, but it's coming. He's going to say all of those things. Probably before the start of the next year.
All right. So I guess where I'm coming from on this is like, it's like, so what, right? If it's not for you, then it's not for you, right? At the very least, when it does get to a point where I can play it, right, which will be in probably 2 or maybe 3 years from now, like, then we'll reassess it, right? But as it currently stands, like, what he's saying, it, regardless if it's true or not, seems to be good. I like what he's saying, right? He seems to be saying the correct words, and like, I'm excited about
I think
it.
what he's saying is okay. Here's what Ashes of Creation has been. Is like, so far, all the AMAs and all the interviews and things that I've seen with Ashes of Creation, the game feels to me like a collection of features. It doesn't feel to me yet like a world or like an immersive
complete thought.
experience. It doesn't feel like something that's going to suck you in. It feels like it's taking the best 3 things from Arcade and the best 3 things from Lineage and the best 3 things from WoW and mashing them all into one game. And a good MMO has to be more than that. It can't just be a collection of features. There has to be some
That's
magic to it. There has to be some emergent way that you like interact with the other players in the game that's it gives you something that's
Yeah.
unique and unpredictable, and I haven't seen that with Ashes of Creation. I don't know where
Well
that's coming
put.
from. It doesn't feel inspired to me. It feels smart. A lot of the stuff he's saying sounds very smart. It sounds well thought out, but I don't see the uniqueness. I don't see what's next gen about this. I don't see what's wow killer about this. It's just a well funded, well thought out game, which is cool. I'm sure I'll play it, but is it going to be like the next big thing? I don't see how it could be based on what I've seen so far. I think it's going to have some good raids and, maybe some decent combat or PvP. The combat that I've seen so far is not exciting at all. But I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good like theme park experience. I'm sure we'll have some good instance PvP where we're defending these caravans, and it'll be wonderful for 3 to 6 months. But I don't see what is so fucking special about Ashes of Creation that's going to make me want to dedicate 5 or 10 years of my life to it, like I did with some of these Golden Age MMOs. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm still playing a fucking
Golden Age.
UO player run server. It's a iteration of a 1997 game because it has the best emergent content to this day of any MMO that's ever been released, and it's 25 years old.
I would
Where
say
is that?
Ashes of Creation right now, I would expect to basically beat all of the existing MMOs right now across the board, just because the fact that it's just going to copy them and do a better job at what they're currently doing, right? But I do not think it's going to be like the new like I don't know. It's not going to be like the new car or a new airplane, right? It's not going to be like some crazy new invention, right? It's not going to be breaking the ground that way. And I do not think it's going to be Black Desert's combat, which I think is going to be a huge negative for the game.
So he made a comment about Black Desert in that AMA that he took from Reddit, and that moment was when I realized this guy's probably, full of shit. He says somebody asked him about custom character or character customization, and he goes, one of the things I really loved about BDO was the character customization sliders and all the abilities that you had to do that. He goes, I promise you our game is going to be as good, if not better, than BDO's character creation.
That's a huge ass promise right there.
Even IGN made like videos on making characters over and over again because that content's so
Someone
good.
1G has his face in this game. Someone made someone 1G's face.
Some fucking Korean artists for that one. That's a tall.
He fucking got on that stream and said yes to everything. And throughout, he goes, I don't want to call any games out. And then he talked about Thunderstruck Wood straight away. Obviously, this guy's salty about a bunch of stuff in AA. And so I really, really agree with you, Moreland, where it sounds like it's a bunch of ideas slammed together, right? It's a Metallica song. Here's a bunch of riffs. Let's slam it together and call it music, is basically what he's going to do when there's no inspired thought behind it, which will, at this point, he has an unlimited amount of time, it seems, to put it together and maybe create a vision for it. But if that's what you're going to do, is just say yes to everything, pretend you have enough money to fund it, but then go on Kickstarter and then ask people for $250 to pre-alpha it, or let's call it pre-alpha, not alpha 1, to pre-alpha it. I think you're full of shit at a couple stops on that train right there. So I'm tempted to throw money at it just so I can see how right I am, but I think I might just let other people do that.
Well, I think that the money thing on that for the pre-alpha is twofold. One, it helps generate money. That obviously is a business to make money. That's obviously given, right? And two, they can't have so many people in there, right? They can't have hundreds of thousands of people in there running around because their servers probably won't support it, right? They probably don't have good enough servers for that. And so that's probably going to be like, it's twofold, right? They're trying to keep people out by making the price high. And if people do pay, then they make more money and they can probably afford to open up an extra server early, right?
My chat's really upset that I use Metallica.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you've got people malding over that Metallica.
Dude, I'm not saying it's bad music, but it's not. A lot of that music is just the guitarists getting together, go, "Hey, bro, you hear this riff? Whoa, what about this riff?" And then they put it together, and then some old guy goes for 5 minutes.
You're fucking way out of line here, buddy.
I just re-listened to an album.
Maybe new Metallica, definitely not like OG Metallica.
I'm not talking about Sandman, right? But like they had a couple of inspired songs. But that's what everyone
thinks of when they think of Metallica. They think.
But all the other trash in between their hits is just a bunch of fucking riffs slammed together and some guy trying to push a poop out. Sorry.
That was Tim Allen chat. This so you guys know that was not me or Moreland.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Ashes is going to fail. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is I haven't heard the things that I want to hear that get me excited. I haven't seen anything about this game that makes me feel like it's going to be an emergent experience.
Jiu-jitsu.
To get me excited.
I thought that's what.
Dude, if they had jiu-jitsu in an MMO, that'd be fucking sick. Imagine the combat. That would be unique combat, dude. Like actually having to set up submissions and shit. Anyways,
I told you. Sorry,
but I mean something, right? Like something.
Yeah,
new.
they do need to have some creativity.
What is new in creation, the node system. Okay, what does that mean? When you do quests in the area, a new dungeon pops up. Cool. Like, why does that get me hooked on the game? I don't. It's just.
It just creates diversity, right? This creates diversity, right? Long term.
Yeah, but you're missing the point, man. Like, we're solving all the problems that are up here when like this is the level that needs to be looked at in order to make a new game that is actually new. All of these new MMOs for the past 15 years have been the same game with different features, and BDO is one of the only exceptions to that, which is why which is why I've been playing BDO for so long despite all of its flaws. At least it was new, right? At least I had a feeling going through the Calfian era of this game that I hadn't felt in a game in 10 years, and now it's kind of lost that, and they're going back and making the same mistakes as every other game. But at least there was a moment where it was like, holy shit, this is really something special here.
Right.
And in Ashes of Creation, like where is that? They don't even know
I agree with you on that. Yes. I think that this is just going to be another game. It's going to be like all the other games. It's just going to be better because they have some dude who has a head on his shoulder who's logical, right? So
and I mean, I'll play a better arcade. Sure, that's cool, that's great, but it's not what the game. It's not what the genre needs.
It's not
the
creative.
Genre needs innovation. It doesn't need iteration. It needs something that is actually new. Like the Golden Age MMOs were so different from each other. If you compare Meridian to Ultima to Asherons to EverQuest, they were all fundamentally different games that were unrecognizable from one another. And it's because there wasn't anything to copy back then, so people had to be original. Now there's so much to copy that it's like, oh, well, people are expecting us to have raids, so we have to have raids. People are expecting levels and classes, so we have to have levels and classes. Like, we should be getting rid of all of that shit and making something new that hasn't been done yet.
Yep.
Innovation, not iteration, might be one of the most poignant things you've ever said.
I totally agree. I think that sums it up very well for the MMO genre right now. And I do agree that I do not think Ashes of Creation. I think Ashes of Creation is iteration, not innovation. And I think that is definitely something that I don't think they'll fix, right? If you're looking for innovation, Ashes of Creation, I do not think will be that.
I will say one thing about Ashes of Creation that genuinely impressed me. He, with utter confidence, told Asmongold that they could have 250 versus 250 battles with no lag. So he put that out there. That's either going to be true or false. If it's false, we're going to shit on this guy for eternity. If it's true, that in and of itself is enough to make the game unique and interesting, right? Even if the combat's mediocre, a 250 versus 250 is going to be fucking sick. So,
well, this guy has nothing to lose. This guy has nothing to lose. He's just some fucking asshole that's played MMOs and made some money doing something else in a different industry, right? So what? He comes in here and takes
money. Actually,
I don't either. But let's say it's in a different industry. He just walks in here, grabs some money, promises Asmongold something, grabs some clout, and then maybe it comes to fruition, maybe it doesn't. He says yes to everything. You can't. How is Asmongold walking away from something like that? Going, well, his reaction was, well, if everything you said is true, it's going to be great. Of course it is. He said yes to fucking everything. If this doesn't work out, he goes back to his well-funded personal life, and he probably broke even because he took a bunch of money for pre-alpha and Kickstarter. And he just walks away.
It's such an egregious, like, over-the-top promise, though, to say 250 v 250 is easy. That's literally what he said. He said, yeah, no problem. He was like, maybe we might even do double that. We'll do 250 v 250 easy. Already done it. So it's like, bro, where's the video? Like, Camelot Unchained has a video that they streamed from like a year ago where they had like 150 versus 150, and the guy was streaming at 200 FPS, right? Like, I want to see that from Ashes of Creation. Show me the fucking video, dude. Then I'll start to get excited.
I don't know. Maybe Asmongold wanted some of that cash or something, or was getting paid under the table. But I can't believe that he can go through a conversation like that.
I think Asmon's just starved the same way that the rest of us are starved, right? We've been
we've
just been frothing at the mouth for a decade, and now someone's tossing us a half chewed bone. So it's like, yeah, anything sounds good right now.
Yeah, I think he's a con man. I think he's just a fucking con man. But I hope I'm wrong. Oh, for 16 proc. There we go. Hell yeah, that took a while.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell, right? I mean, I don't have anything, like, at this time, right, you either take him at his word or you don't take him at his word. That's all there is to it, right? And if you don't take him for his word, then the sky's the limit on the speculation, right? And if you do take him at his word, then it sounds like a very good iteration on the current MMOs that we have, right?
What we should do is all of our communities combined, somebody make a Reddit post on his Reddit, ask him, what space travel is going to be like in his game, and then upvote it so he has to answer, and watch him say space travel is definitely something we're interested in pursuing.
I want to ask him how the dating and romance aspect of Ashes of Creation is going to work.
You're going to have marriages. That has to be a thing, right? And you're going to be able to make your own music. Yeah. You have to make your own music just like Arcade and just like BDO Carpet Arcade.
I want a hot housewife, and I want a haptic feedback suit that I can wear that will allow me to encounter the characters in the game with full realism.
Yeah, so when your housewife gets fucking upset at you, you want to feel the stab in your kidney from behind after 10 years of her being...
what I had in mind. Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Good. Yeah, me too.
Well, then we'll make it a player quest to solve Morland's murder.
And I want to have 250 housewives on one screen with no lag.
We can make it happen. Easy.
Well, if the character creation is as good or better than BDO, and you can sit there and sculpt each one of those 250 wives, man.
That's true, dude. A better character creator than BDO and no lag with 500 waifus. Holy shit, dude. Where do I pre-order?
I just want to have a list of everything that he's promised, right? And have like a checklist. And then when people get their early alpha,
now you're seeing it, aren't you, Potion? Now you're getting.
There's only one box that needs to be checked. 250 v 250, bro. Just show me that video. Show me, even if it's just basic models that don't have that many particles. Just show me 500 people in the game fighting each other with no lag, and I'll buy you.
Just pin models, right? They're all the crucified standard models.
I'll buy your Kickstarter, but like that's there. He's acted like they already did it. Where's the video, man?
I don't know. If I was an Asmongold stream, I probably wouldn't say no to anything either.
For us, about the armor and costumes, that's where it's really at. We gotta have at least more customizability than BDO and that. All right.
Somebody even asked him, they're like, hey, so something that's really important to me. I know your business model is monthly subscription and selling costumes, but something that's really important to me as a MMO player is not spending a whole bunch of money and still being able to look important with the armor that comes through the game. Basically saying, can I still look cool without giving you any fucking money? And you know what he said?
Of course you can.
Of course you can. My business model isn't so important that I actually have to make money. I'm worried about you, and I want to make sure you find value in my game.
It's a subscription-based game, $15 a month, so he can do that. Yeah, of course.
You know what game actually pulled that off super well?
World of Warcraft.
Bless Unleashed.
Define super well.
You mean
like the console version, right?
Cool? Well, yeah. I look cool with my red nose armor on my Guardian.
With regular gear. Yeah, they actually did like an insanely good job balancing the two. I was really impressed.
If you dye shit gold in BDO, it all looks pretty good. Just gonna say.
I like the puke green yellow that everyone dyes their gillies to make it even harder to see them when they're running around.
Bright gold gilly. Bright gold gilly, dude.
Well, I think, is there anything else in closing thoughts on Ashes of Creation?
Yeah, everybody pre-order.
I would definitely
show me that video, man.
That.
Show me that 250, and I'll buy your $300 pack right now, man. I'll start shilling hard for that game.
Honestly, I honestly really want to see that. Well, how many did they do in their battle arena? Was it 100?
Probably 50 or 100. I don't know. Someone in chat probably knows. There wasn't 100 people online in that battle arena most of the time to have that many in a match anyways. So I don't know how many they actually had, but right. I'm sure it wasn't more than 100. It's probably 50 to 100.
So when's our first meeting on Mysteries of Nerds and Words?
Wednesday?
Yeah, you want to do Wednesday?
Sure.
Yeah. What time?
Morning. Early morning. Like
sounds
9
good.
my time.
Yeah, so the same time as the podcast then?
No, 3 hours before that.
Okay, that sounds good. So look forward to the Nerds and Words doing a better Mystery of Summers. in the coming weeks.
What should we call it?
Mysteries, nerd mysteries.
Mystery of Nerds.
Mystery of nerds. Yeah.
You're the guy that names things.
Who?
Oh, I hate all of our
You.
names. Me.
I named it.
Yeah, you name Nerds and Words in one pass.
I think Joe named it.
No, you named it. What?
No, he posted a list of like 20 names, and one of them was Nerds with Words or Nerd and Word, or it was something like that. And I just changed like one letter, and that's how we got Nerds and Words.
All right, I'll call him up.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay, so let's beat Wednesday about that. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to spend some time in the next few days and try to come up with some ideas. But I think between the lore knowledge of the three of us, we should be able to come up with something pretty interesting.
Your ass lore in this game, and I'm going to bust it out.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited. Cool. So I'll send us out then if we're all good. This was episode 10, the Holy Grail. We never thought we'd get here, but holy shit, we're here. Thank you guys so much. It's always a pleasure to work with you, Potion, and sometimes you too, Borland. Send us out. Let us know what you guys are working on for this week and the content you could expect on your Twitch/YouTube. Moreland, what you got going on?
More Ghost of Tsushima, and then there is I wanted to bring this up, but I probably shouldn't until we have more information. So maybe next week I'll talk more about this. But there's a new indie MMO called Fractured that I'm going to be looking at. Have you guys seen that at all yet?
No.
It's supposed to be. It's another isometric like Ultima Online style game, kind of like what Legends of Aria was supposed to be. I don't know enough about it to say if it's going to be good or not, but just from the trailers and stuff that I've seen so far, it seems to run pretty well. So I'm probably going to, if they just did an alpha test, I think this last week, if that's still running, I'm probably going to, they sent me like a creator code. So I have access. So I've got to download that, fire it up. So we'll probably do that like maybe tomorrow. And if it's good, we'll play around with it.
Damn.
Seems interesting.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. People were asking me about it before I went out of town. They were like, "Hey, like, did the guys from Fractured get in touch with you?" And I'm like, "What's Fractured?" So I went online and linked my Twitch, and they sent me a code. And so yeah, I'm gonna take a look at it.
Jealous.
All right.
Potion, what do you got going on? How do you follow that up?
I've been grinding for the Infinite Potion, and I've been talking about Hashin, following up with the most latest and greatest in BDO stuff. Lots of tinfoil and when Hashin's coming out, I guess. I'm looking forward to grinding for my pin armor back. That's my big thing I want to work on. So I got to get a Tet Ogre and start working on my pin armor. That's about it.
Yeah, I bet you're looking forward to that. You're so excited, right?
Definitely not.
Sorry to rain on your thing. So Tim Allen 1337. For the next couple of weeks, probably month or so, I am going to be joining Tier 1 Guild and getting in on that in the next week or so once Cacao Games figures out how to get me out of being the GM of Aftershock. But I am solely focused on hitting level 63, which we're 87% of the way into, buying another Tet Distortion and Pen Maneuver, getting 301 AP and then 346 DP and then 8K Ecology, which we're 1K away from, which is the long stretch. But we're going to focus on that. And then also, I think my Overwatch account got unbanned today. So since I'm currently not sponsored by any other game companies to play their game, I'm going to put voice comms of Overwatch on and play competitive and see how long it takes me to get banned on probably Twitch and Overwatch. But I just want to have some fun. What'd you say?
Good luck with that.
Thanks, dude. So hopefully I'll see you guys next week. But I may have to take a week off of Twitch. I don't know how this is gonna play out. But either way, that was episode 10 of Nerds and Words. Thank you guys so very much. You can find us on Spotify, Potion Shop's YouTube. Special shout out to Potion Shop. I know it's not easy to put this up on Spotify, but I personally really enjoy it. And I know a lot of our viewers do too, or listeners as they may be. So thank you for taking the time out to do that. Special shout out to you. But you can find it on our YouTube as well. And we will be back next Saturday. This was just a one-time thing. We'll be back next Saturday with episode 11 at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Thank you guys very much. Cheers.